Test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. Getting audio into OBS. Good evening, everyone. We'll get started in just a few minutes here. All right. We'll be getting started in just a few minutes. I'm surrounded by screens and cameras. Kind of interesting. Waiting for everyone else to make it into the meeting. Finishing my dinner here while we're waiting for other people. Oh shoot, I have the wrong meeting started. Hang on. Hi, George.
Can you hear me, Steve?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm in. Good.
Sorry I didn't get back to your email. I
That's all right. I figured you were busy.
Yeah, I didn't get home from work until real late.
It's okay. Yeah, I usually go to sleep about 1, 2, or 3 in the morning.
All right, that's good to know. I got I
One
got
of those guys. And it is good to know because you never know. You got to, geez, it's 9 o'clock. I don't want to call
Yeah.
them. That's never a problem with me.
Yeah, I got home about 9 and Matthew was putting his boat back in the driveway.
Mm.
So I guess I'm a boat owner now. Part owner.
God bless you. and
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
What is the meeting ID for this for the
Um,
Zoom?
Let me
Do you know?
look. So the easiest way to get it is in the CIDER website. It's 795-0742-1923.
One is that the okay? Because I keep trying to put in the they ask me for a passcode
Yeah, just click the link on the website that has the passcode embedded.
on the website. Okay. Um. Okay. So we're which website? The Apple Cider.
The CIDER website, yes.
Okay. Because I'm on my phone right now, so I was just
For a bunch of computer people, we always seem to have an interesting time setting all this up. I had made the mistake of opening the board meeting Zoom first instead of the main meeting Zoom and wondered where everyone was.
Yeah, I clicked on the one that was in the email, and the one that I clicked on the email that was for the August meeting and said that the meeting was in progress. So I went to the website, clicked, and bing, I'm right in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of these days we'll get it all figured out.
Yeah.
I clicked on the link in the email and it got me right in.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I copied the wrong link when I sent the first email around.
Yeah,
It could be. Yeah.
I didn't.
it was the link for last month's.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why I had trouble getting in. It said the meeting was ended when I got into it.
Yeah, we decided to end last month's meeting.
Okay. Ah, finally got it.
So, Carol, what's this? All the line of planets behind you
What's that?
on your page? It's, there's like phases of the moon behind you.
The
Oh
background.
yeah, it's the ecliptic. Yeah.
And I am coming to you from live. This is not a virtual background. This is a live background. So
Oh, nice.
I'm coming from Misquamicut, Rhode Island. Should take my computer to the beach. Show you the ocean.
Yeah, Shirley's in North Carolina somewhere.
Oh yeah, she's visiting that.
Yep. So I don't know if she's going to make it in or not, but we may just start anyway.
She's in Baldwinsville?
No, she's in North Carolina near Raleigh.
Oh, okay.
They might be actually at the beach house. I'm not sure.
You want a little water?
Ooh,
Ooh.
very nice.
Nice.
Nice, Ken.
I'm not going to take credit for it. I didn't do it.
Beautiful.
Well, it's nice to get out of town and go on vacation during everything that's going on. So we're able to do it. So why not? You know, here in Rhode Island, they're pretty much doing it the same way, like in Rochester. You know, everybody is wearing masks when they go out. You know, we are able to eat inside a restaurant, not having to sit outside. And I'm not sure if they've loosened that up. Have they loosened that up in New York at all, or would they still require you to sit outside?
Yeah, they are letting people inside, but only I think it's a half capacity or quarter capacity.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Quarters.
it's limited, and you have to wear your mask if you're walking around inside. When you're seated, obviously, and eating, then you don't need to wear your mask. But I've been very impressed with even walking at a park, people are wearing masks. I'm really pleased because our New York numbers are staying low, which is excellent.
Yeah,
So
one of
that-
the restaurants we go to, they have partitions, a glass partition between tables,
Wow.
which makes things nice. Or
Oh yeah,
or every other table, one of those restaurants, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
One
still
of the-
6 foot.
one of the places we went to last night at the bar, they had glass partitions for every 2 seats. So you're
Wow.
sitting at the bar, and there's a glass partition between you and the bartender, and also between you and the other people on either side of you.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Huh.
that was kind of interesting. But
Huh.
you know, they're kind of doing it the same way. I guess New York is. I think it's half capacity. When you come in, you got to wear a mask. When
Yep.
you get to your table, you can take it off. The servers are all wearing
Yeah.
masks.
Yeah. Well, at least, Ken, if you have too much to drink and you go to lean over, you can't fall too far, you know?
Yeah.
No, that's true, and that's what's happened to me last night. You know.
I did hear from,
margaritas and beer. You know.
yeah,
Hey,
I
on
did,
my vacation.
I did hear some complaints from some of the some bars that if you serve alcohol, you have to serve food, and some bars don't have a kitchen, and so they're mad about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a thing earlier, a couple of months ago, where they could serve alcohol if they served food. You had to get food with it.
Right.
And some places were considering a bag of chips as food. So they'd order a beer and a bag of chips. And that was disallowed. They said, no,
Yeah.
it's not being.
Well, they were even saying chicken wings are not a substantial food, and that I
Wow.
can understand. That you can make a meal out of chicken wings.
Oh, for sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Especially in Dollar Wing Night.
Yeah.
I thought that had more to do with people not getting drunk than it had to
Yeah.
do with spreading a disease. But maybe when you're drunk, you're not so careful about your mask.
Yeah.
Well, they were trying to get away from the idea that people were just going there primarily to drink. You would be going there
Yeah,
to have a meal. A drink was incidental, not
drink,
the main objective.
drink, and congregate, which is how things get
Yeah.
spread. Yeah, I did read the Sturgis Motorcycle Festival. I think 200,000 people
$260.
were infected.
Yep. Yep. They're spreading it all over the country.
It's usually airplanes that transmit diseases like that. All right, well, I guess we'll get started. Doesn't look like Shirley's going to make it in yet. We'll see if she comes.
Okay.
Okay.
I see a couple of new names in the Zoom chat. Welcome everyone else. And there's a few people watching on YouTube as well. Oh, looks like I got to make the Zoom window a little smaller so we can show the date on the website. All right, I am going to pin me for a minute. Okay. So, welcome everyone. What is this? The September? Just forgot where we were. September 9th. nine
Yes.
nine nine
I know.
9/9 meeting. Um, Another one
Yeah,
of
in
our.
memory of Herman Cain.
Oh,
Oh
that's
yeah.
right. He was the 999 guy.
Yeah.
So tonight we're going to have George doing a demonstration of editing photos. You had a special program you were using, weren't you, George?
Well, I figured I'd try the photos, and then within the Zoom, when I have the full screen, I'll try to change from photos to another app without dropping out of Zoom, and let's see if that'll work.
Yeah, it should work.
I'll give it a try.
Yep.
Yeah. I like your confidence, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah, we did a trial run on Monday night, and most of it worked so far.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so let me see here. If anyone wants to type a question or jump in with a question, we can get the question started while I bring up the Apple newsroom. There were a couple of interesting things. I don't need to be on there twice. I'm going to hide this window and show this window. couple of interesting things on the news lately from Apple. Phil Schiller advanced to an Apple Fellow, so he's apparently moving farther away from the not really farther away, but away from the basic day-to-day operations. The joke is that these executives have been there so long they want to retire and spend more time with their money. And then we last month we did talk about the new 27-inch iMac, and it looks like all the iMacs went SSD by default. On the 21-inch, you can still get a Fusion drive, but SSDs are really fast, but they're quite a bit more expensive. So in some cases, the cost of a new iMac went up if you want to get a larger SSD, especially if you want to get into the 4 terabyte or 8 terabyte. Apple also did several things on the pardon?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on with the iMacs. I did get a new iMac. Ordered it the day they came out, and one of my decisions to get the 2 terabyte SSD is because everything is soldered on now, except for the memory with the iMac. So if you want to go in later and change the hard drive, you really can't. So I was forced to, I like a little bit bigger hard drive. I was forced to get the 2 gig rather than getting the smallest one and then maybe changing it on my own later on. But you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's not that it's soldered on. The SSDs are still socketed, but they're paired to the T2 security chip, so that they don't want someone to be able to steal your computer and get into your data. And one of the ways that can happen is they take your hard drive out, put it in some other computer, and can access everything on it. So by pairing it to the security chip, without having that same chip and your password, the data is inaccessible to the bad guys. The danger becomes if you forget your own password, the data is going to probably be inaccessible to you too.
I think the SSDs are soldered on, except for if you get the 4 terabyte or the 8 terabyte, they are still socketed.
That could be. I looked in the service manuals and I didn't notice if there was a difference between the models.
Yeah, I do have a question for Ken.
Sure.
Ken, yeah, I know you said that you had the 2 terabyte. Why didn't you just go for a 1 terabyte and use an external for your data? Any reason?
Well,
I think you can save a bunch of money that way.
yeah, I mean, I could have, but I like to have, the things on the hard drive within the computer. Once you get into an external, then okay, what am I going to put on the external? What am I going to put on the hard drive?
Mm-hmm.
I have offloaded a lot of stuff like videos and pictures onto external drives to get them off so it doesn't take up space. But I tend to use, have a lot of space, so that's why I went with a 2 terabyte.
Okay.
And,
Thanks, Ken.
and the price differential isn't too bad until you get up into the 4, and then the 8 terabyte is $1,200 more than the 4 terabyte.
Yeah, and I think I saved about $600 or $800. I did go 64 gigabyte of RAM. I got it through Other World Computing, and that was like $235 total for the 64 gig.
Wow, good price.
Whereas if you go through Apple, it was going to be, I think, an extra 1,200 or 600. I forgot which one, but really outrageous.
Yeah.
I know Apple has actually lowered their RAM prices in the last few years, which is amazing. So someone posted that instead of ridiculously gouging you, now they're just seriously overcharging you. But it does make a concern for people who are used to upgrading their computers down the road. They are getting less and less able to be upgraded. The laptops have been like that for several years, and we're a little sad to see the iMacs go that way too.
And that's, I think, one reason why I got the this Intel iMac, this latest one, because I got a feeling the new iMacs that are going to be coming out with the Apple Silicon, everything is going to be soldered on there, including the memory. So, I mean, who knows? But if that's the way it's going to go, there may be a lot of mad people, having to pay a lot of money for RAM when they've been used to getting it on their own.
It does make it easier to build, which is probably why they've done it. But there is hope, because in the Mac Mini it was soldered for one generation, and then the next generation they put the sockets back in, and actually pointed it out that they were a little surprised on how many people were buying Mac Minis to be upgraded, especially in server farms. So they put the sockets back in. It's worse than it used to be, because you used to be able to just open the door and the Mac Mini would have the RAM sockets right there accessible. But now you have to pull the logic board out and remove a shield to get to the RAM. So it's not as nice as it used to be. But at least it is possible to do. All right. Apple has also been touting their Emmys, Apple TV Plus, their original shows. They have 18 Emmy nominations. So that was kind of neat. They're also starting to bundle other services, because they realize, once you watch the 10 shows that they have, there's not much else on there. So they do have a bundle going on where you can get CBS All Access and Showtime for $10 a month. Or they've got another one with HBO. Where's that other one with HBO? I think is also $10 a month. So a little cheaper than buying them separately, because we're all now running into subscription fatigue. For years, we've been complaining on cable TV that we wanted a la carte. We only want to pay for the channels we watch. Well, now we have that point where you pay for every channel you want to watch, and we're annoyed and wish they were bundled. Because we're finding out that it can be more expensive to subscribe to every channel individually. So we're starting to see more and more bundles. There is a website. Oh shoot, can I find it? Just Watch, that has all of the different streaming services together. So if you want to watch some show, it tells you what streaming service it's on, and then they have an app where you can log into your account for that other service, and then watch all your stuff in one app, which is kind of handy, which is what the Apple TV app is trying to do. So when you add subscriptions to your account, it will load those shows into the Apple TV app.
I think Arlene and I, we turned our TV on for the first time in 4 weeks last night. And we didn't even go to commercial. We went to the Cody box and we were looking at some old movies for the Cody. So we really weren't even using commercial TV. But the first time in 4 weeks, what are you going to do?
Yeah, a lot of the cable TV services are realizing that. More and more people are going to a la carte. They're going to streaming. And even for traditional TV shows, you don't need to get them from your cable company. You can get all those over the internet with the subscription services from Sling and YouTube and Hulu for traditional cable TV channels, often cheaper than your cable TV. You just need
It'll be interesting what happens when Starlink comes in up here. They have over 700 satellites up now, and they're predicting by the fourth quarter that they'll be using the beta phase. So that'll be interesting, especially to see what the price is going to be. That'll be interesting up here.
Yeah.
You're talking about a dish?
Pardon?
You're talking about a dish?
Yeah, no. It's Starlink. Starlink has their own dish.
It's
Starlink. It's like Elon Musk, with
Yeah.
all the satellites that they put up. And when you do it, I know my son put in for beta, I put in for the beta, and they send you a little box with the dish. You put the dish outside, you flip up your two little ears, point it up at the sky, commit your house, push a button on the little box they provided, bingo, it automatically links in, automatically signs you on.
I think they're talking about having 12,000 satellites being
Eventually, yes.
and that there will be cellular service at every inch of the planet, well,
Yeah.
all the satellites. So
Eventually, for the first phase, they're covering the northern half of the United States, right across the United States. That'll be the first phase, I believe, for beta anyway. So you and I, and we're up here, and we can be into that if we elect to do it. That'll be fun, especially if we see what the price is going to be. And knowing Elon Musk, he's probably want to go more than competitive with everything out there. So that'll be interesting.
And we're already seeing astronomers and amateur astronomers complaining about the satellites are reflecting too much. They're ruining star shot pictures. They're ruining observations. So apparently he said the next batch he's going to try to make less reflective.
Yeah, well, ever since the second set, once the second set went up, they had the reflectors on it, and they said it cut it down by 60%. So, and they're all up there now, except for the first 60, I believe. They're all the anti-reflective. Well, SpaceX anyway, they're anti-reflective.
Yep. We did have a question in the YouTube chat from Lawrence. Hi, Lawrence. Asking about Catalina and if it's safe to install yet. In general, yes, we're up to 10.15.6 is the current beta. And I'm getting a note that my microphone is running out of power. Oh, I'm going to find the other one. Hang on a minute. And so in general, yes, Catalina is safe to install. The trick is that you do have to make sure that all of your devices and applications are.
Right, I did have a quick. Okay, can't hear you. Can't hear you. Your mic is out. I did have a question from David. I guess he wanted to know how the Starlink is going to be powered. Good question. I really don't know. Don't know. And thanks for the question, Dave.
Because here there's
Properties here. We'll go microphone.
customer antenna is about
All
the
right.
size of a pizza box.
Now,
Correct.
can everyone
Yes,
still hear me?
That's what I heard.
Or hear me again? Apparently, both of my AirPods are powered off.
Is
I
this
was
going to
using
be
them
a
too much
mobile
today.
thing? You can move it around, or
So we'll go to the ambient
Is it
mic
on a
and
roof
see how that
somewhere?
works.
Yeah, from what I understand, you can put it on the roof, you can put it on the back porch, you can put it out in the lawn.
Okay, and that
and you take it with you on the weekends?
I need to
Yeah,
switch
and
over to
every
here
time
so
you
I can
move
hear
it,
everyone
every
else.
time you move it, it will auto center itself. From what I've read, it's self-seeking.
And I have to
When
mute.
do you get the
and
beta?
then
When are
Who
you going to
knows?
Mute that.
I know they haven't called me yet.
All right.
Oh, thanks, David. Yeah,
switch
David.
this back
David signed up too. Yeah.
to
It doesn't
Zoom.
take anything to sign up. If you go to Starlink, and if you look on Starlink, you can
There.
put in your name and request. I
okay.
think what they're looking for,
So
they're
let's
looking to
go
see
back here
how many people
and
are
Catalina.
active in any particular area.
So
Maybe that's what they're
the big
interested
trick
in. And
is
you
making
just
sure
put
your
in
apps
your
are
name
compatible.
and your email.
We talked in the past about a
That's what
website
we do anyway.
with a program called Go64. They will scan your computer
Okay.
to see if you
I
have any
still can't hear
32-bit
Steve.
apps that
Can
will
anybody
definitely
else?
not work under Catalina. And so that's one way
Can you hear
to
me,
know.
Carol?
One of the
Yep.
biggest
Okay.
things we
Hear you
see
both. I can't
is
hear Steve.
older
Steve's the only one
versions
that
of
I'm not
popular
hearing.
software. So you need Microsoft Office 2016 or later.
Everybody gets
You need
your
Quicken, I think it's 2019 or later. Adobe Creative Cloud, I think 2018 or 2019 or later. So
Oh,
quite frequently
no.
you need to have the newest versions of everything.
type on the
For
chat.
other websites, you can go to each individual web company for that application and type in a search for that application. Or there's this really neat website that's been around forever called Roaring Apps. This is actually from leftover from the days of the large roaring cats. And so let's see, we'll put in Quicken 2007
Yeah, whatever he
and see what
changed
it
to,
knows about
it's
that.
not working. He said his
Nothing.
first microphone was running out of juice, but
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2007
George, I
is
just
not
signed up
compatible
for the updates
with Catalina.
and
Sort
available
of works
to
with
use
Mojave.
Starlink.
Okay.
So
Good.
you
Ted.
want to make sure that all your apps are up to
Hey,
date.
it's worth a try.
Also, in general, make sure you have a good
Enough to
backup,
know that,
just in
we
case
all
something
gotta
goes
try it
wrong
out because
with the
that's
update.
what we do.
Yeah.
You
And
do
if
want to
we
be
can get
able
as a
to
freebie for trial,
restore to the previous
that's
version.
even better yet,
Yeah. Well, now's the time to buy the stock, right?
good
Yes.
point.
Like
Good point.
Apple,
Get
right?
back to here for a minute.
Yeah.
And one of the things we've seen is Catalina. I had that window open. Lost it. Catalina is compatible with a lot of website, a lot of computers that go back quite a few years. Mac OS, and in many cases,
Oh, what a shame that we can't
you
hear him.
shouldn't upgrade on an older computer. Let's see. They have a list here somewhere. Yeah, so some of these 2012 iMacs, the 2012 Mac Mini,
So they
you want to have at least 8 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs if you can put it in there, to sort of overcome how slow the processor is.
Maybe something.
But we have seen a lot of people who install Catalina on these older OSs, and now suddenly their computer is too slow for them, and they don't like how fast it's not running, and want to move back. Downgrading an OS is even harder because you have to erase your hard drive and then go back
I
and
know.
restore from a restore point you made before you installed Catalina. So it's possible that you could erase, you could lose data if you have to go back from a week ago's.
Close our eyes.
Oh, okay. Well, the YouTube audio is working. I don't know why this one's not.
Shouldn't he?
Let me switch over here.
Yeah, I would think
Yeah.
so.
All right. Yeah, I just saw the Zoom chat, but the YouTube
Yay!
Yay!
YouTube was working, and that was the other one I was monitoring. I had an aggregate device that was supposed to be all my mics and all my headphones all together.
We only missed about 5 minutes.
Oh, at least, yeah.
All right. But now I can't hear you people talking. Let's try that. Why? Everything used to work fine, and now it doesn't. So I'm going out to here. I'm coming in from there. There's my speaker here a minute. Oh, someone's on the Enterprise. If I test. All right, so that's the problem. That's not working. Let's go to this one. There we are. Now I can hear what's going on. All right. Everybody can hear everybody on Zoom. How is the YouTube chat? Let me turn that back up again. Yep, they can hear me there now too. Everything is crazy. Yeah. And I was talking about making sure you upgrade, have your applications up to date before you install Catalina. All right. Well, anyone have any other questions? Or shall we try to get George in here? Oh, I like Lyndon. Lyndon's on the Bridge of the Enterprise there. That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah, that, oops, wrong, wrong link there. Let me go back to here. Yeah, that M3U, I've seen it on audio playlists. I think it's just an XML. Yeah, uniform file format for playlists. There is no formal specification for the M3U format. Apparently you make whatever you want. Yeah, typically embedded, excuse me, embedded in the M3U are all of the audio files that you want it to play sequentially. But Wikipedia has some interesting articles on how to define it and create it, and a list of programs you can use to create it. Yeah. Let's see. I had, let's see, my virtual background. I'm in an auditorium. An empty auditorium. I didn't know if I liked that too much. I should get a full auditorium. Alrighty, well, let's see. Ooh, I lost George's video here. I have to scroll to get to him. Alright, I will pin George. Alright, so George, let's try sharing your screen. Just leave it. That's how you are seeing the conference. I have you pinned for everyone else.
Sharing this meeting.
Oh, sorry. I got to change that button.
Let me know.
All participants. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Try to share the screen and start the broadcast, right?
Yep. And yeah, make sure you get Zoom highlighted there.
Yep. Microphone on, start the okay. You are sharing your screen. Ba-boom, ba-boom.
I don't want to be full screen at my end.
Okay. Okay. Can everybody see the screen?
Yeah,
You can't see the screen, right?
I could, but I went back.
Yeah, I could, and now it's gone.
All
It's
right.
gone.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah, I
Gone.
saw it.
Okay.
I gotta
It
go.
was full
Okay.
screen too.
Yeah, it ended unexpectedly. You need to reboot the device if you can't restart. Let me try it again. Share content. I go to screen and start the broadcast. Bing, bing. Okay, it says you're sharing your screen. Now what? You can still see it, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
but it's full
Okay.
screen.
Now what I want to do, I want to go to my desktop. So if I can't go to my desktop, yeah, I have to go to bring in photos. To bring in photos, I have to go to my desktop, Steve.
Yeah. So just hit the home button.
Can you see my desktop?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Okay. In my desktop, what my son wanted to do, he said, Dad, I want you to do this. Now, however you do it, I don't care. So my first choice was, well, if I do it on the iMac, I'd probably have to use either Photoshop, On1 Raw, Luminar 4. And, you know, you're talking expensive software. And typically on those, there's a steep learning curve. And if you do that, it's going to take me quite a bit. And I said, well, wait a minute, I want to do a demo this month. So if I want to do it, instead of doing it on the iMac and expensive software, let's do it on something where everybody has the software. So let's go inexpensive but cheap. In this case, I said, in that case, let me use the iPad. Besides, on an iPad, you can do the editing just sitting down in your recliner, relaxing, bring your feet up, and let's enjoy life. And that's really what I wanted to do. So the first thing I said was, I have a lot of apps, as you can see, maybe a whole bunch of apps, okay? And these are just my graphic apps. But the ones that I would use would probably be the ones you see here: Photoshop, Lightroom, Darkroom, something like that. Superimpose and Flood, I'll look at a little bit later. But I said, what does everybody have that comes with the software? And that would be photos. So when I looked at photos, let's come down to CIDER. I think I put it in here in CIDER demo. Come on, CIDER demo. So this would be my, yeah, so this would be my granddaughter's car. So this is the one he said, Dad, let's repaint her car. So I said, okay, how are we going to do that? So if you look at this, then whatever you had that you wanted to touch up, of course, you would go into edit. When you look at the edit, now this is the photos edit menu, any picture that you had. And if we go look at on the left side, the upper one, you're looking at everything you see on the right. You can either click auto and just do some auto editing there, and they'll say the program will pick what it assumes to be the best of everything: brightness, sharpness, and everything. But you see, we have exposure, brilliance, highlights, shadows, all of these that you see here. Whatever you pick, and on the right side, you can just move it, and you see how you're going to change things. So I like the idea of the slider. The sliders, it just makes things so simple and easy to use. Okay, and all of these items that you see here, sharpness, definition, everything here, vignette, this is the same kind of stuff that you see in Photoshop or On1 Raw, Luminar. These are just great editing pieces of software. I mean, for goodness sakes, this kind of stuff costs you a bunch of money. And Apple gives it to you for nothing. If that's what you wanted to do. The middle one is on the left-hand side. You have all of these are quickies, just quick fixes, things that you could do, mono, black and white. And on the lower left, you see this one here. This allows you to crop. So you can crop the picture or whatever. And if you look at the center grid here, you see those lines. Typically, if you're taking a camera photo, you want to look at on those the intersection. You want to look at the intersection of those lines, where the intersections are the upper and lower left, the upper and lower right. That's typically what photographers call the rule of thirds. You want to get the focus either slightly off center, slightly above, slightly below center. Center it doesn't really bring up the best picture for you. Now, if you look at on the right hand side, using that little thing, this in the middle one, if you take a picture, let's say, and look at what you're doing here, where would you use this? If you take a picture and on that photo, you're looking up at a building, you notice the way when you look it up, it's going to have a tendency to come in. The higher you go, it's going to have a tendency to pull in to the top. And if you click this, what that allows you to do, it allows you to, it allows you to, come on, baby. Okay, it allows you to bring it in or to bring it out. Okay, and that will center, it will bring things realistically. That's called your perspective. Okay, and the same thing on the bottom, it would be, click on the bottom, you have a perspective shot again where you can change it. Okay, and all of this stuff, or you can, if you look all the way up on the top, okay, you can rotate. Okay, so nothing in here that I'm looking at allows me to do any painting. There's nothing here with the brush. So what the other option you have, go to your top and look at this little puppy up here with the 3 dots. Now, if I click on this, if I look up at the top, you see these are the options, the outside applications that Photos allows me to go to use as an adjunct to whatever I have. I can click on more. Okay, so what I would play with is not here as an outside app. That means I have to use what Apple gives me for painting. In this case, I said markup. Now, most people, if they look at markup, they're going to look at the little pens up here and they're going to say, well, those pens, that's what I would use if I wanted to just make a signature, just like a pen, or I want to write on the screen and write my name or something like that. But there's a lot more you can do, okay? A lot more. So in this case, what I would say here, I want to do a little bit of painting. Now, if I'm going to do some painting, it looks like I only have 5 colors here, okay? The black, etc. But that's not what I wanted to do. I want to go to a color wheel. So I'm going to click on the color wheel. Now, if you click on the color wheel, I want to select the color that I want to paint the car with. So I can either use a grid, and usually that's the one that's a pretty fast way to do it, or I can use a spectrum. By the spectrum, I can pick a color, click on anywhere, and okay, and that'll give me a color. Or I can use sliders. Using a slider, I can adjust it this way. Now, if you had your RGB hex color number, I can just type in the number over here, and that would work for me, and that would bring up the color. So what I wanted to do, I'm going to go back to the grid, and let's say I want to paint it a color. So I'll use the color, and let's say I want to use purple, so I'll just click on a purple, okay? Now, if I just use 100%, it's just, the car is just going to be a big block of purple. You're not really going to see the detail in the car. So what I want to do, I want to bring the opacity down to 10%. Now, look up at the top. You see that little pen tool? all the way, the little pen tool on the far left, as I'm moving this slider for opacity. Do you see the numbers changing? In this case, I just want to use, let's say 10%. Okay, something like that. And that's fine. That would be the color that I want. Now, also, I want to go to this markup tool, the marker pen. Why do I want to use the marker pen? I want to do the marker pen because it's going to give me a wider brush to do what I want to do. Now, look at on that marker tool. You see that little band? There's a band up there. Okay. Now, watch. You see what's happening to the band? I'm going from a narrow band to a wider band. So if you just look at that marker tool, you know what the width of the point is going to be. In this case, I'm going to use the Apple Pencil because the Apple Pencil is going to make things easier for me. It's easier to do finer detail, like around the window or something like that, using the Apple Pencil rather than just using my thumb. Okay, so let's try the first shot. Now, again, I'm using 10% for tonight's demo. What I would do if I was doing it for personal use, like I did with my son, I used 5%. Okay, now I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to do this one and click OK. And whoop, with my color, I did say it's going to be the third color down. I have to come down and okay. Now you see that little dot there. So the color is there now. Okay. So that's the color of the marker pen. So I would use, undo this little eraser. Now I'm going to take my marking pen. With the marking pen, I'm going to come up. I'm just going to do the first sweep, and that's too much. Boy, is that too much. Do a quick erase. Make sure I'm at 10%. Am I at 10? Aha. Now you see why. Okay, come down to 11%. That's close enough. Okay, do it again. At 11%, use the first sweep. Click on that. Okay, good. And come on. Not taking.
It really wants to be black at 100%.
Yeah. No, that's not what I want. I told it I wanted the purple. 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 Purple, 10%. And click. Sorry, kids. Come on. Purple. Okay, click on that. And that should be purple. Okay.
No, it jumped
Let's
back
try
to
it
100.
again.
It jumped back to 100.
Did it?
Yep.
No, it shouldn't. No, it's there. It's there. It's just hard to see. I'm doing 10. I'm just doing 10% for the first coat on the car. Okay. I'm not worried if I go outside of the bounds here. okay? Because this is only the first sweep, okay? And as you can see, okay, and then I'll do the bottom part, do a little bit on the roof. Okay, now the reason I'm doing 10% or what I would have done a 5% sweep, because think of it as if you're using like an airbrush or you're using a paintbrush. It's hard to determine, you cannot be precise when you're going to lay down two sweeps without overlap. So you don't want the overlap. At 5% or even 10%, having an overlap is not going to make that much of a difference in a color, okay? As you can see, that's what I've done here. And I'm using a very wide brush because I'm not concerned about that. That's what the eraser is for. And again, do that little post. Okay, it's coming in nice now. Now this is 2 sweeps of color. And I'll do one last little sweep. Okay, over the hood. And a little bit on the mirror. Okay, now what I would do, I'm going to hit the eraser, and on the eraser, I'm going to do pixel eraser. Using the pixel eraser, now I would, okay, widen the brush, and if I tilt the pencil a little bit, I'll get a broader circle. And now I'm just coming around and do the same thing over the wheel. I'm erasing that little bit of overlap that I did. And the same thing here, erase that, come around to the side of the car. And around here, the same thing. Okay, the license plate, clean up the license plate with a little arrow. Clean up the little decal in the middle, okay? And then do the same thing here on the headlight and on the other side. Then I would do the same thing on here. Come around on the windshield. Clean that up, and the same on that, get that, and the rear window, the same. Okay, and the overspray. So you can think of the pen as we're looking at that pencil rather. Think of it that you're just using like an airbrush, okay? Because that's really what it is. And down here on, you notice I on the bottom, you say, look on the bottom of the car, you see how that circle, the circle is changing because in this case, I'm tilting the Apple Pencil, okay? And that changes and a little fine detail. Pretty quick. Whoop. Pretty quick, isn't it so far?
Yeah.
And, a little touch.
This is all within Photos app.
This is right. This is within Photos, and Photos. Everybody has Photos. So here, let's say I messed that up. I can do a little touch up in here. Okay, using I can use a fine detail by switching over to this. I'm using a fine detail. And again, I can change the size, okay? So for fine detail work, I just do something like this. And again, I'm looking at, look at the barrel. The barrel of that pen shows you that I'm using the narrow width, and I'm using opacity of 11, okay? And with this, you can you know, you can bring things back in here. I took out too much here, took out too much here. So you can do, you know, you can, when you can clean things up a little bit. So this is what I used and to change it, and that's it, and it comes free. I mean, and you can do that with anything. You can go in and you can change the color of a dress. Let's say you want to change the color of a shirt, but if you're going to do it, I really suggest that you do go down to your spray of 5%. Okay, and play with that, and when you do an overspray at 5%, you don't notice too much where one coat overlaps the other. It makes things a lot easier. Now let's say I wanted to do, if I looked at the color again, let's say I look at the color wheel, just as an example. And if you wanted to match, okay, come on. If you wanted to match a color that's somewhere else in the photo, as an example, you could take the eyedropper tool that's up here in the upper left, okay? And I can move that tool. And if I just pick the center pixel, now we're going pixel by pixel. If I click that, okay? I can take a particular pixel. Okay, let's just say, oh, I don't know, let's say the license plate. Let's look at the license plate. In the license plate, look at all the different colors in the license plate, and this would tell me exactly what color that would be. The hex color, it would show me the spectrum, well, I'm sorry, in the grid, it would show me exactly where all of these colors is, and that's just using this. So if I wanted to match this, let's say I wanted to match this particular color, okay, using that color, I can take this hex number here, and I can put that the next time I go into photos, enter that number, and I would know I have that exact same color that I picked this time. Okay. Really is, I mean, Apple spent a lot of money looking at this and the things that they can do with this. I was so impressed when I found this tool, and I said, all these good things that I can do. Anyway, so let's say I was done with this. Just the drill, I'm going to cancel this, discard the changes, whatever. Let me come over to, let's come back to this. Now, that's the way it came out when I finished it. This was using the 5%, okay? Using the 5%, I was able to tweak all this up. Now, let's say, if you look down here, you notice these 3 dots here between just behind that front wheel. There's 3 dots. Actually, it's a reflection of what you're looking at. Something was in the grass. Okay, so I could take this. Whoop, I already touched this one up. Would you believe that? I touched it up already. So I'm going to have to go back to this one. Now I could use the edit tool, and I could come over to watch this and the edit tool. I'm going to go to retouch. Now, retouch is it's an extra program. It's an extra graphic app that's not part of tool, not part of photos. But let's say I want to do a quick repair. Okay, so I can do a quick repair, and I can come over to click on that little puppy, click on that little dot. Click on that little dot. There they go. Okay.
Wow.
You notice how the quick repair automatically cleans it up. I can do a little line over here. It's a quick touch-up tool. Okay. This is the same stuff that you get in Photoshop that you pay a lot of big bucks for. Okay. It automatically does this. It's big time. Okay, now let's just say I'm done with that. Okay, we're done playing with that. And when I touch it up outside of photos, it automatically does that repair on an outside software. Automatically brings me right back into photos with that repair that's already fixed up, because photos really doesn't give you a tool like that that's as fast as that. Now, if there were telephone lines in here, I would do the same thing, go over to touch, retouch, and I could just drag my finger right along that telephone line, and I would get rid of that. Okay, here, let us assume, come back to this, click on that little puppy again. Let's assume that I want to do a quick touch up, and I want to get rid of, quick repair. I want to get rid of this little puppy here, the mailbox. I want to this little mailbox, and bingo. Okay, mailbox is a gun. And this will work the same thing with a light pole. If you have a little dog or a cat that's walking around out here, I want to get rid of it. Bingo, get rid of it. You have a fire hydrant, click on the fire hydrant, you get rid of it. Anything that's not in the picture that you want. And that's called a quick brush, okay? There's a blemish remover if you have a photo of a face or something like that, and you the person there has a zit or whatever, click on blemish remover, click on that, click it, touch it, and it's gone. Automatically takes care of that. It uses the surrounding pixels, and it does an average. So it just averages out the zit or whatever. Okay, now in this case, I'm done with this. Now, before I try to do something else, okay, which is an outside program, let's look at, here's one that I did for the back seat, okay? As you can see, this was the original, and this is what it looked like when I finished. Not bad for using photos, isn't it? Really good. Now, the next one I wanted to show you, I'm gonna say, what if I wanted to put a decal in the rear window, okay? Or what happens if I wanted to put a decal on the side of the car? So that I'm going to do. I'm going to try to do by getting into another app. The other thing would be I took a photo of my car. This is another application, and I clicked on something called Flood. This is an app that when you click on Flood, you just bring up a photo and boom, up comes the water. And in the water, you can move the water around, the height of the water, the waves that you want. And in this case, I took my granddaughter's car. And I figured give her a little coronary, let her show how far the water came up on the car.
Can you say insurance fraud?
Pardon?
You can say insurance fraud.
Yeah. But it's worth a try. So what I want to try to do now, and again, I say I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to bring this one up with an outside program. If I cannot, then I'm going to do a write-up on it, and maybe we can do that as another demo another time. But I'm going to try to do this by coming out of, and let me come out of this. Bear with me. We're going to give it a try. Does everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Hallelujah, it works. Okay, so now I'm going to go into my graphics, into one of my graphics folders, and I show you whole bunches of apps, and each one of these apps does different things, cartoon kind of thing. So what I want to do here, I'm going to go into something called, the Flood was the easy one. This is the one with the car, okay? And you see how you can change whether you want to go level or not. And with my finger, this is just with my finger, I'm changing just how I want this. I can move this. I'm changing the perspective. Think of this red dot as where you would be, okay? And you notice we're changing where you would be looking at the car. And on the lower right-hand side, the 3 dots down here, this gives you, I'm just saying, different things I want to play with, okay? Okay, so I'm going to get out of that, hopefully. Come on, George. Get out of this, there we go. And come over to, come on, shoot, okay? Perspective. Dang, I think I should have tried the other one first. No, this is if I wanted to save it. No. Sorry, kids. It looks like this program does not want to let me get back to, does not want to let me get back to my screen. Okay. I can get here.
Try just hitting the home button.
And say, get out of this little puppy, letting me get back to my screen. Sorry, kids. At this point, okay,
Try again. Maybe it'll work.
Okay, this expanded. Okay, try it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right now I'm in. Yeah, right now I'm in the camera, and I can't get out of my camera. That's what I mean. I'm in the camera mode, and I can't get out of the camera.
You hit the home button.
Yeah. Do you still see the screen?
No.
No, you're not sharing the screen anymore.
That's what I thought. Yeah. When you tap the home button, it automatically takes me out, and I'm stuck. Okay.
You should be able to go back into the Zoom app and share the screen again.
Yeah, that's what I would have to do. And for some reason it's locking me out. And let me come back into the Zoom window. Yeah, okay. Let me try it one more time if I can. Start the broadcast. Start the broadcast. Okay. Am I sharing the screen, kids?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And am I still sharing the screen?
Yep.
Yep. Desktop.
Oh, bless us. Okay, this will work. Okay, so let me do what I wanted to do first. Okay, now in superimpose, this is what I did. If I wanted to add something, in the first case, in the upper left-hand side, I'm going to click on import a background. So if I wanted to import the background, let's say I would take the back end of her car here. Okay, and click on, come on, keep the current selection. Okay, I click on her car, and on the car I can do all this kind of good stuff. Now I want to put something in the rear window. So what I would say, lower right, I'm going to say choose that. So I choose that. Now the next thing, in this case, I have already made what I call a mask. So looking on the bottom, you see transform, mask, etc. I have already created the mask. So in the upper side, upper menu, third from the left, there's a mask with a lower arrow. I'm going to pick one, and I'm going to pick the middle one. Okay. So the middle one, what I'm looking at now is the image. I want to take this image, and I want to, down at the bottom, I want to transform this. So I want to, lower left, I'm going to make it a size that I want. I can play with this image. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to roughly put it about where I want. Okay. Oh, something like this. And notice on either side, I can do rotation. Okay, that's a little rotation. Bring that in here about the window. Okay, rough center. Okay. Now, originally, what you see as an empty space, okay, you see the gold color, and then inside the gold color was white. I already extracted the white with something that I had when I downloaded this picture from University of Albany, and I took out the white part. I extracted that with another free program on the Mac. We'll go into that another time. And that was very, very fast. That's in preview. In preview, you just touch it with your finger or touch it with a pencil. You click and you move it slightly, and you can extract any color you want from any image. Very fast. Preview, freebie, comes with Apple. Apple gives you so much software that's free. A lot of times you really do, most of the pictures that I edit from my cameras when I take pictures, I use Apple's free software. I don't even use Photoshop anymore. Very rarely do I use Photoshop. Here's hundreds and hundreds of dollars, $700 for a program or $20 a month, whatever. And you have to use that? Heck no. Why spend your money? Use your money to buy another iMac, for crying out loud, or buy yourself a couple of iPads, save money. Use the Apple software that's free. Now, in this case, I'm taking this picture here, and I'm going to say, well, if I put that on the back seat of, in the back window of my car, I'd probably be pulled over by the state troopers and saying, hey, you can't do that, man, because you can't look out your rear window, which is true. How about on the side windows of your car? If you wanted to put the dark color on your glass, on your window glass, so that you get the sun out of the car, there's a percentage that you're stuck with, and each state might be a little bit different. New York might be 30% or 32%, whatever it is. When I went down to get my inspection, and he told me, he says, from Florida, he said, you're not going to pass your inspection up here. You got to take that off, and you got to put in new stuff. I went, man, you know what this cost me? He says, I don't care. Don't care. It's not going to pass inspection. And this was down at the dealer, and the dealer said that's not going to pass. I went up for my inspection up here to a local guy, and he said that's not going to pass. I had to rip it out, and I had to put in new stuff. So I'm looking at this. I know that's not going to pass. So looking over at the right, you notice it says opacity. There's a slider. What percentage is New York? 40%? Okay, 30%, bring 30%. I'm going to say, let's leave it at 40%, whatever. So right now, the way it is here, I can look out from the driver's, from the driver's seat, look in the rear view mirror. I can look out and I can see cars behind me, and I'll probably pass that 40%. Okay, if that's what I had for the decal. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And this is the freebie again. Now look up at the top menu, the third one from the left. This is called, now what we did, we are messing with a layer at this point. We have not done anything to the car. We have added a layer, and we have on the layer is where the decal is. So we have a decal layer and a car layer. At any time, I can click on that car. If I clicked on just the car, you would not see it. Oh, you little nasty thing. But if I clicked on just the car, you wouldn't see the, there we go, baby, good. Okay, just the car would not have that little decal on it, okay? So we're looking at the layer. Now, if I wanted to save this, if I said home and click save, it would not save both pieces as such. I would click on this and I would say merge. I want to merge both of these layers. Now, once you merge it, it's now one graphic. Like it would just be like a JPEG. It's one piece once I merge it. Another thing you can do with the merge, depending on what your topic is, I can do drop shadow and merge, and that would give me a drop shadow. With a drop shadow, let's say I had a person standing up here in a driveway, and I said drop shadow and merge. I could have that drop shadow, and I could swivel a drop shadow. If the sun was right overhead and I said drop shadow, I could take that shadow and pivot it and take the top where my head would be and rotate it 90 degrees, and it would look as if the sun is coming from my left, and here's this shadow. I can enlarge the shadow, shorten the shadow. In this case, I'm just going to say merge for today's demonstration. That's it. At this point, that's the photo. That would be my JPEG. Nothing I can do about that once I leave here. So let's say I want to click on delete that session. Okay. Once again, one other thing, let's bring photos up and let's click on the side, whoop, not that side. Let's take the other side where the light is. Okay, here. Let's take this where the light is. Okay. And to do this, we're going to do the same thing, but just a little different. We're going to take this and move this over a little bit. We're going to click on, again, another mask. Let's click on, let's take this puppy. We're going to take this guy, okay, and I'm going to click transform on that bottom piece. Move that middle puppy up like this. Have that puppy, bring the puppy, rotate him just a little bit. And now you say, wait a minute, the puppy's looking out to the rear, okay? But what I want to do, I want to have him, a forward-looking puppy, okay? So now we have a forward-looking puppy. We're going to just rotate him. We're going to bring his size in just a little bit. I can have him a little bit of rotation. We want his feet. We want his feet to be standing up like that, or we can have him kind of like this. Move him down a little bit. There you go. Something like this. And you can, again, this is what it would look like if we did not do the opacity. And you can do something like this if that's what you wanted, but it doesn't look right to me. So I would do the same thing with this. I would use a decal, maybe 50%, something that doesn't look too stupid, and you can get away with. This would be more or less about what I put on a car, okay? And I get away with this. Yeah, you could lower it down a little bit more, something like this, but okay. Now it just comes down to personal taste, personal style. And again, the same thing, if I wanted to, and I said, yeah, that does it for me. I can click on home, okay, and do the same thing. Do you want to delete the session, or do I just want to do the layers, whatever? In this case, I'll just delete it. Okay, so that's it, kids. That just about finishes. Yeah, that about finishes my session for right now.
Thanks, George. Thanks.
Ew. That was interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's a freebie.
Yeah, what were
freebie?
What were the names of those apps? And I can post them into the chat.
Okay, the first one, of course, we used was photos. The second one that we did, superimpose. Superimpose allowed you to do layers on layers on layers. That allows you to put one layer, like if you're going to do a decal or something like that. Or you could put a person in the seat of a car, that kind of goodies. The other one that we did was flood, Flood. That would be this one here. Flood is the one that we use to that you can do water. And the one that we used to get rid of anything that you don't want, that you could do touch up with. Touch up meaning that you want to eliminate, you want to eliminate something that's in the photo, like telephone lines. You want to eliminate a lamppost. That was called retouch. And retouch is this little goodie down here that you can see. Hopefully, if you don't see it on the screen. Anyway, it looks like a green circle with lines in it. That's called retouch. Okay?
Just retouch or touch retouch?
Touch retouch. I think the official name is touch retouch. If you look at the App Store, just type in touch retouch, and you're going to come up with an icon like that.
A lot of those names are so generic, it's tricky.
Yeah. And again, you're going to find a lot of them like said retouch.
Yeah.
But it's if you type in touch retouch, I think that would work for you.
And the Flood app looks like it's from Flaming Pear.
Yeah, Flood. Yeah, it looks like a house. It looks like a house. A house that half of a house is in water, half is outside of the water. And superimposed, it looks like a picture of like a countryside with a balloon on it. Yeah. like an air balloon. Okay,
Nice.
kids?
Very nice. Thank you, George.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Now let's see if I can get back into Zoom. Yeah. Oh, well. Okay, and leave. There. Okay, I'm back on the screen. Hallelujah. Hey, how about that, Steve? It worked.
Nice.
Very good. George, how did your granddaughter like her purple car?
My son didn't get back to me. He's waiting for an opportunity. He didn't
Oh,
want
okay.
to. He didn't want to scare the hell out of her first week down there. You know, all she had to see is a purple car in water. I don't think that would have went over too well. She's having a bad enough first week anyway.
Until she said
the first 2 days down there, somebody in one of the other dorm rooms came down with COVID-19. How does that get you?
No. Oh,
yeah.
geez.
So they're still, so they're quarantined in her particular dorm anyway. So it's not a big deal. Everything is there's no online. Everything is online classes right now at UA. So that's good. You're in the dorm. You're in your room. You have online classes. It's not that you're hurting anytime, So.
Yep.
Oh well.
Until
I'm gonna.
Yeah. Until she decides she wants the car painted that color, and then you find out it's like $2 or $3 grand to do that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But a good way to find it, just try it. Try a color that you like and say, does this color work for me? If the color works for you, okay, just print the color out to someplace on your color printer, bring it down to the guy and say, this is the color I want, more or less. And he can do it for you. And you can do the same thing with the walls. We have another program, maybe another time I'll go into it, that you can take a picture of the walls of your inside apartment or your inside room of your house and tap on it, and you can apply a color to the wall. Put your curtain on it, and you'll see what the room would look like with a color that you choose. That's cool. That's another
Very
one.
cool. I like that.
Yeah, maybe I'll try that another time, or I'll do a little write up and get it out to everybody. And that's a freebie. Superimpose allow you to do.
Yeah. So somebody had their YouTube stream on.
I'm sorry.
So no, it's okay. It wasn't you. So a couple years ago, Apple started adding more VR type stuff and more augmented reality (AR) stuff into iOS, several companies have apps out. IKEA has an app where you can see what IKEA furniture would look like in your house by superimposing it onto a live picture. So for augmenting your reality, the newest iPad Pro, they just added a LiDAR sensor, which might be familiar to some of you as what self-driving cars use to map their surroundings. And so LiDAR can create a 3D image of what you're pointing it at. So we're expecting to see some really interesting things coming from app developers now that they have this LiDAR camera built in. And it's expected to come down into the other devices as well, probably in the new iPhone.
Oh.
Although that is something, let me find that list again. Apple did announce their next announcement. So September 15th.
September the 15th.
Yeah, September 15th. They're doing something. We don't know yet. In fact, inside the logo they put out was an AR thing for Easter eggs, if you happen to point at it with an AR camera. But someone just posted a rumor that we may not see the iPhone 12, because that's the expected thing is the iPhone 12. Let me switch this one in a minute. But because of the manufacturing slowdowns, it's possible that Safari, here we are. It's possible they won't show, or they either won't release, or they'll delay the iPhone 12 because it's not ready for mass manufacturing yet. But then
I think
there was another rumor saying that they are ready for mass manufacturing. So you can't tell.
Steve?
And then the other part of the rumor, I think they mentioned the tags. They said that they wanted the tags to come out the same time as the iPhone, but who knows?
Yeah.
Steve, can you hear me?
Yes.
I had one question for George that I put in the Zoom chat, or tried to. When he was first starting his presentation and he was changing the color of the car,
yes, sir.
Was there any feature that would have allowed him to essentially click on the color of the car as it was and select a different color and simply change the color of the car completely with that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, that is a Photoshop thing where you can select all similar colors.
Yes.
Yeah. So no fill tool.
But in Photoshop, to be able to do that, you would have to outline the car with either the pen tool, a magic lasso, or something like that, and you would have to use that tool to say, this is the air, this is what I want to do. Okay, so you're selecting the car, and with that, then you would have to do the, the little manipulation as to what color you wanted, and it would do the whole thing in one shot. But it would be a little bit more tedious, let's say, where what we did here, I found it to be the fastest way to do it. It was fast to do it with a brush, a little spray brush, and again, there's no cost involved, and there's no learning curve in using photos in the edit and the markup tool. There's no learning curve. You pick a brush and you just do it. You don't have to read a manual all the time, because if I did Photoshop, I'd have to pick up the manual. What the heck did I do? Pen tool. Okay, and I'm going to use the pen tool, and if it goes outside, well, geez, how do I get back? How do I go back? It's 2 steps. And you have to remember all this stuff. And there's a learning curve to using this software. It's not, I mean, we're looking at, goodness gracious, it's almost like a high school course or a college course to learn how to use Photoshop versus using photos and the edit program. It's common sense for a lot of it, really. You play with it, you're going, oh, that's how it works. It's inside of what we just did here. Everyone that's watching right now could probably do the whole thing inside of 20 minutes. You play with it, you say, oh yeah, I saw George do that. I'll just do this and let me try it. And no, that didn't work. What else? Oh, maybe he did this. Click on it, and there you go. Inside of 20 minutes, you guys are pros.
Yep.
And this is free. It doesn't cost you anything. This is Apple saying, here you go, kid, this is free. It's like Pages or the old McWrite. Here, it's free. Use it.
I remember,
and it's not a difficult thing to do. Sorry.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, George. Thank you.
I remember I was teaching a Photoshop class ages ago, and the first day was all selecting, how to select things, select this and not that, select this piece, and then remove this piece from the selections. Everything was how to select. And then at the lunch break, somebody asked, well, when are you going to teach us how to use Photoshop? So, well, this is. You select something, and then you do something to that selection. So the first thing you have to learn is how to select things. So if you want to change the color of that car, you have to learn how to select the car. Don't select the tires, don't select the windshield, don't select the windows, don't select the license plate, just select the car. And that's a skill all unto its own, is learning how to select. And people that have 40 years experience with Photoshop just can do that immediately.
Yeah. And if you over-select, how do you unselect what you over-selected?
Yeah.
That's another problem.
Yep. So it's amazing what free tools there are. One of the things that was really interesting at the developer conference is how many young kids are getting into app development for, legitimately, not just putting together stupid apps. And someone on one of the podcasts I listened to made a point about, it's probably Andy Anatko, the younger kids who have started programming with Swift have a leg up on all the other programmers that have been in it for 20, 30, 40 years, because the environment on making an iPhone or iPad app now is so easy to do with Swift that programmers have to learn a whole new way of thinking about doing things in order for it to work properly.
And the young kids, for the young kids, there's nothing to unlearn.
Yeah,
they don't have to unlearn all the stuff that the old guys,
You're saying Swift? Swift?
Yes,
Steve?
Swift, SWIFT. It's Apple's free development program. You can download a free copy on your Mac or your Windows, iPad. I think it's available for Windows too. And there is let me see if I can find it on the website. There's the Swift workshop. What do they call it? Swift Programmers Workshop that will teach you how to program in Swift. Let me see how to get to it. Oh, there's a bunch of third-party companies that are doing Swift.
Okay.
Steve, programming.
Steve, Steve, what is, if you're looking at Swift, but what is Metal? Is Metal another part of programming language?
Metal is
graphics.
Graphics, yeah. It's sort of the graphic layer that then sends your data to the graphic card, and it's an intermediate layer so that
I think it's all behind the scenes, though. I don't think you actually do anything with Metal. I think the OS does it for you. You probably just press a button. You say, "Oh yeah, I want this done in Metal," and it's done.
Basically, yes, but it's so that programmers don't have to write to the video card, which means they'd have to write separate apps or separate chunks of code on each video card that the app might run on. Swift Playgrounds, that's the thing from Apple, the free thing to download to learn how to program in Swift. Let me bring that window back up again. Safari.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Yep. Yeah, and so it's kind of neat. I downloaded it and played with it. The first thing you learn how to program basically is a game, and so it's a neat way to code through objects. So it's a different type of environment. Even when I was learning how to code, it was all object-oriented programming was the big new thing when I was learning to code 40 years ago. And we were looking at C as a language that might be used sometime in the future. And now we're so far past that already.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just very happy in my live code programming environment, and probably stick with that. I had taken a Swift book out of the library and started working with that for a while. I said, this is just going to be way too complex compared to what live code is. And live code, when you write something, you can compile it for anything. You can compile it for iOS, for your Mac, for Windows, for Linux, for Android if you want.
And that's kind of the goal with Xcode, Apple's development environment, that once you write your program, you click a box and it will run on a Mac, it will run on an iPad, it will run on an iPhone, it will run on any device. It will run on an Intel Mac, it will run on an Apple Silicon Mac. And so by merging the development environments together, it makes it much easier for developers to write cross-platform code.
Yeah, the whole idea is you write your code once and deploy everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, and live code also works with the web too. So all of my web applications, I'm using live code. I use that in place of JavaScript most of the time. There's just a few things that live code won't do that I'll occasionally have to pull up a JavaScript code, but not very often.
Yep. PHP and Ruby and Python and all these new programming languages that have come and gone, in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. There's always something better coming.
Live code is nice because it has a community version that you can download and use for free too. and you can, try it out. And once you decide that, oh yeah, I really enjoy this a lot, and I want to do this seriously, at that point, then you can get a subscription or however you want to do it.
Yep. That works nice. Thanks, Rick. We also had a question in the YouTube chat about internet speeds. Lawrence is lusting after Greenlight, like we all are. So Greenlight will give you 500 megabit at $50 a month. So they're a lot faster and a lot cheaper than Spectrum. Unfortunately, they're not available everywhere yet. And until they are, you're kind of stuck with Spectrum. Frontier Internet is a joke. They give you 6 megabit if you're lucky, or if they run 4 phone lines to your house from 4 different telephone switches, you might be able to get 24. So Spectrum offers 100 megabit for $45, but they are also offering a 400 megabit plan at $65 and a 940 megabit plan at $105. So you can go faster, but it is a lot more expensive. We're sort of seeing now, and that goes into what we talked about earlier with streaming television, that if you have several people in the house, each streaming their own show from a different service, even 100's not enough anymore. Remember the early days when we got 10 and it was so fast, we couldn't believe how fast it was, because we were jumping up from a 56K modem.
Steve, do you know about Greenlight expansion across the state? I know we have it here in where we are, and some of us have it, some of us are waiting for it. But statewide or regionally, how is Greenlight doing? Is it only Rochester local, or is it statewide?
I did. There was some concern. Was it late last year, earlier this year? They did open in Buffalo, Niagara. Yeah, Buffalo and Niagara right now, including in addition to Rochester. And a lot of people were upset, thinking they were taking away Rochester installers, basically. But no, they're hiring people in Buffalo to expand in Buffalo. The biggest.
Yeah, I got family in Syracuse, and I mentioned it.
Yeah. Well, Syracuse has Verizon Fios. But from what I've read there, they're not selling new Fios packages, but which is fiber internet, so it's just as fast. But they're not selling many new Fios packages. But if you're in a house that already has it, you're lucky. One of the biggest reasons for Greenlight's relatively slow expansion has been getting permits. Every time they go into a new town, they have to go through the town zoning boards and get approval. And then when they want to run their wires, they have to get approval from whoever owns the pole. So either Frontier or RG&E, sometimes both. And then quite frequently, they also need to get approval from the homeowners so they can run a line along the street if there aren't poles. A lot of neighborhoods have buried lines. And so they want to dig up a lawn, run a line, and then replant the lawn. And some people aren't letting that happen. And from what we hear, Phil talked about it last year when he did our meeting, that it's often a Spectrum executive that lives on that corner, and they won't let Greenlight into the neighborhood as competition for Spectrum. So a lot of times when you look at Greenlight's map and there's like one section where there's no plans, or it says waiting for provisioning or something like that, that's oftentimes because there's a Spectrum executive on that street and won't let anyone into the house or neighborhood.
What about 5G? There's been a lot of ads coming out about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about 5G. So 5 gigahertz cellular, a 5th generation cellular. Sorry, that's the whole problem. There's two things called 5G. There's 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, and there's 5th generation cellular. It has the potential to be really fast, but you need to have a 5G antenna every couple hundred feet. So it's more akin to the way Wi-Fi works than it is to the way cellular works. And so places that have 5G are using a different frequency spectrum. They're not using the super fast because there just aren't antennas for that. They're using the not much faster than 4G. And in fact, AT&T is claiming they're 5G already, even when they're not, because their 4G is a little bit faster than everyone else's 4G. So they call it 5G evolution or something like that. And they did the same thing in the 4G line when 3G was common and 4G started coming out. And so on an AT&T phone that has no 5G chip or no 5G capability in the phone, the AT&T little logo will show 5G because it is a little bit faster than 4G and cellular.
Yeah, Steve, I think I sent you something that was online. It was a 23 out of 24 tests on AT&T phone to show that their 4G was faster than their 5G.
Yeah,
I think I sent you that, and that's like real world tests, and it was like,
yeah, and even the cities where the carriers claim to have 5G, it might be on one street corner. And if you're on the other side of the building, you won't get 5G because it doesn't go through walls. So the real promise of 5G is the millimeter wavelength, which has the speed, has the penetration, but then you need way more antenna. And so that's going to be a problem. Almost a more likely... how do I want to word this? The Starlink we were talking about earlier is probably more likely to be faster and more ubiquitous than 5G. But they're putting up their own satellites. So it's kind of interesting. They can launch 100, 200 satellites at once, where the cellular companies takes a long time to put up antennas. And of course, all the controversy and conspiracy theories about 5G causing COVID, just because they're both new at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm signed up for Greenlight, but they still haven't come through yet, and that must have been at least 6 months ago or more.
Yeah, I was on the second half of 2020 build list until COVID hit and everything got shut down. So they're probably going to be a year behind what they originally thought.
Oh, great.
Nick,
I already gave them my credit card number and everything, so.
Yeah, they charge you a penny to get on the list, or to show your commitment.
Yeah.
Nick Francesco, for those of you that don't know him, told a story about someone knocked on his door handing out Greenlight flyers. So you can get free flyers to go around your neighborhood to pass out, because the more people they get that show pre-interest, kind of tells them what town to go into, what neighborhood to go into next. And so this guy came to Nick's house and said, "You hear about this Greenlight thing? It's really cool. We should sign this petition so we can get it." And Nick says, well, yeah, we've had Greenlight in this neighborhood for 3 years now. What? So he ran home and signed up. So once you have it, it's faster and cheaper, which is always better. So and that's sort of what we see with Spectrum offering the faster packages, because they know Greenlight is becoming a serious competition. As soon as it gets more widespread, it's likely we'll see Spectrum's prices go down, because now they have real competition to meet.
The Starlink, is that bidirectional, or is it you need a phone line like you used to have need with satellite?
Yeah, pretty sure it's bidirectional. I'm looking at it now, because I remember that on the early satellite things. You would, excuse me, you'd have to have a phone line to upload. And so basically the only thing you would upload is the website address. So that was really tiny. And so that would upload over the phone line, and then it would download the rest of the data over the satellite link. But from what I'm seeing on their website, it is bidirectional up and down. 4 antenna arrays on each satellite. Ooh. One of the interesting things about satellite is that you're now running into the speed of light delays. That it's going to have to take into account the distance and the speed of light. We've seen that some on even on global communication, transatlantic communication, that if your phone call is bouncing off a satellite, you can tell a noticeable delay from your end to the other end. Every now and then, when some ship anchors wrong and dredges up a internet cable and cuts off a piece of the world because they broke the cable.
What about things, weather conditions and it used to be you hear stories about snow on your satellite dish and so on. Would that affect Starlink?
Probably a little bit. One of the ways to overcome that is by having more satellites and more antennas. So that's probably one of the reasons they're trying to do 12,000 satellites. They have some interesting information on their website with a free sign-in to see if to show your interest. I'm trying to find somewhere what their rated speed is, but I don't see that. They're probably not advertising it. So if you don't advertise the speed, then you don't have to worry about not meeting it and getting sued. Let me see if Wikipedia knows. If it gets all 4 antenna, you get 60 megabits down and 17 megabits up. So it's on par with Spectrum's low-end services. But the big thing is it'd be good for is rural areas. You get much outside the city, and you might even have a hard time getting Spectrum. We've heard from customers who have a long driveway. They're way back off the main road, and it's tens of thousands of dollars to run a cable up the driveway to get back to where they are. A lot of lake houses around here are becoming year-round, and so people want internet service there all the time, and there are sometimes problems getting internet. So it's become so important that there's a lot of call to make it a what's the word I want? Like a public utility. Water and electricity are public utilities that are basically guaranteed to everyone at least a relatively low cost. There have been a lot of stories, especially now with all the earlier in the school year with the kids doing the learning from home, about poorer families that don't have high-speed internet at home needing to go sit in the Starbucks parking lot so the kids can do their homework. Spectrum did just come out with a lower internet. What was it? 50 megabits for $30 a month, something like that. So it's a little bit cheaper if especially if it's just you when you don't do much internet video streaming, then something less expensive would be okay too. Ding. Oh, Lyndon's on Tom Baker's TARDIS, right? Yeah, with the all the circles on the walls. Yeah. Alrighty, so it's about 9 o'clock. Anyone have any other questions? Any chit chat we want to do?
I was looking at some green screens the other day on YouTube. There's a lot of stuff out there, and it's just so much fun to play with, and it's all free.
There is a neat thing, if I can find it again. Nick bought one. It's a green screen. The big guy, the green screen that hooks on the back of your chair.
Yep. Yeah, I saw his.
Yeah. And so you don't need to have a rack behind you or anything big. But every time, let's see if they're available yet. Because every time we went to look at it, it was out of stock.
It's probably still out of stock.
Add to cart. Buy it now. Well, no. I don't want to buy it now. Add to cart. Well, doesn't say it's out of stock now. Well, I don't know if this was the one that he found, too. This is called Real Big Buy. I don't know if that's the right one. There's the collapsible chroma key from Ropel. Yeah, so it looks like there's a whole bunch of them now available from a lot of different companies. So if you don't want to have a rig and stands and everything, you just want something to clip on the back of your chair.
Well, I was talking about on the web, they have green screen videos even where you can use it, and there's backgrounds, and you can put all sorts of stuff in that you want of your own into these little, green spaces that they've put on it. And there was one that was just great, and I wish I could have used it, but it said that one was copyrighted. It was a background of an office.
Yeah.
and there's people walking back and forth. It looks like you're in the office, doing work, and there's a lot of business going on behind you.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Well, even with Zoom, you can do some pretty good green screen built in to Zoom without needing a physical green screen behind you. It helps to have a uniform image behind you, but now even with me, you can sort of see as I move too quickly, my hair doesn't follow me immediately.
Yeah, the more light you have, the better.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, George in front of his IMAX sometimes a little bit loses his ears.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's kind of fun, the effects you can do. There was in the early days of the stay-at-homes, a couple of people were posting how they tricked their office into thinking they lived in like a mini mansion or something by just printing out something from Architectural Digest or some great picture on a few pieces of paper and just putting it behind them in camera shot. So that's all the camera could see, and you think they're in this giant, real long, fancy apartment with gold inlays and whatnot. So it's kind of funny.
Well, that goes back to the old issues of Mad Magazine. Had this back in the 60s.
Yep.
The screen, exactly what we're doing here today.
It's 9 o'clock.
We finally have computers that are powerful enough to be able to do that without needing, wrong button. Start video. Without needing to have a super high-end computer to be able to do, in essence, a chroma key is sort of the technical term, where it looks at the background color and then replaces it with something else. I have seen on some of the iPads, the lower-end iPads in Zoom don't have the option because they don't have the graphics card capable of doing it. But the newer iPads do.
Steve, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, Charlie, we can hear you. And we're hearing Rick again. Somebody's YouTube is on.
And it's all free. There is a neat thing, if I can find it again. Nick bought one.
Yep. So I think that was Charlie. We can hear you, Charlie, and we heard your YouTube. You got to mute YouTube while you unmute Zoom. There's so many buttons to deal with.
I like your background, Carol.
Oh, thank you. I think it was one of the astronomy picture of the day pictures.
Yeah, it looks like an eclipse of the moon.
Yeah.
Did anyone look at the meteor shower and see lots of meteors?
I saw a few, but not a lot.
I saw 4.
Hey, Steve, your office shop open all the time now?
Yeah, we have been. We're just asking people call from the parking lot to make sure it's safe to come in. So we're limiting how many people are in the store at once. And if you have a service to bring in, we have a form on our website to fill out, and then we can schedule you a time to drop it off.
I'm thinking of buying some stuff, so.
Yeah, no problem. Just give us a call from the parking lot. What's funny is that not everyone does, and so someone will come in and call, and we say, yeah, we'll wait for the person to leave, and then someone else just walks right in without waiting their turn, and so the poor person who is waiting their turn gets upset or doesn't wait their turn either.
Or you have signage, I assume, by the door telling them to wait.
Yeah, I'm thinking we should have probably put one out in the parking lot before they get to the door, but yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know about this background here. The waves are coming in awful hard. The wind is blowing that palm tree. Is this taken in front of a hurricane?
Just move your head so your hair is blowing.
Yeah, I was gonna say he needs to turn on the fan.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking.
Yep. I do have a little one on, but it's not blowing enough. Yeah. If I blow too much, then the microphone picks it up, and you hear this static hum in the background.
Well, that's why I went to using my own pictures for background.
Yep. I found a couple of them, but it must be on my home computer, not the club's computer. I like this one with the Aurora. I was looking for some from the Steve Jobs Theater so I could look like I'm coming from there. I had one that was at an air show, so you could see the airplanes buzzing by.
I was just looking at one of an Airbus on a green screen. That's pretty cool.
Lyndon, I like your backdrop. Your backdrop is really cool. If that's your real office, man, I'm impressed.
No, it's the TARDIS.
But I'm impressed with it. It looks great behind you.
I was wondering, I have a MacBook Pro 2013. And I was wondering when that's going to be obsolete and won't take the next upgrade.
Generally speaking, Apple supports their computers for 5 years after the date it was discontinued. And when it's more than 5 years old, it's classified as vintage. And when it's more than 8 years old, it's classified as obsolete. When it's in the vintage period, they don't necessarily have service parts available. And when it's obsolete, they definitely don't have service parts available. So it's let's go back to the school. It's interesting. Let me see if I have a record here on. I've got the Mac Tracker app has a lot of that information listed. So the 2013, when it was discontinued, is one thing to look up. Let's see. 2013. All right, there was an early 2013 and a late 2013.
The late one.
And late 2013 was discontinued July of 2014. So it is probably already vintage, yes. But as we saw in one of the other Apple where is it? If I still have it open, in the Catalina specs, you still can run Catalina on a 2012 and later. Let's look at Big Sur and see what that spec is. I think the Big Sur specs are a little bit lower. I'm sorry, a little bit newer than Catalina was. So I guess Lyndon, the short answer is anytime now. So Big Sur preview. Let's see. Features, 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 features. Let me get down to system requirements. How far down do we have to go for system requirements? Way down. Way down upon the Swanee River. Weather, national. I don't see it. Over. How about just overview? Watch the keynote. How about usually it's the very bottom. There we are, very bottom. 2013 and later for Big Sur. So you at least get another year out of a late 2013 model. MacBook Pro, iMac 2014 and later. MacBook Air 2013 and later. So we'll have to see what happens next year when the next OS comes out, if that's going to be supported or not.
Yeah, I think the big thing with the older hardware, and people are saying, well, you know, when you want to put in the newer software, you have to remember, yeah, you're going to have to look at your apps to see if your applications are 32-bit or 64-bit, and if you're still using a lot of 32-bit applications, you're going to be in a world of hurt. You know, it's going to cost you money to update.
And the amount of memory you have.
That's true.
I think,
yeah.
Where is it? I think even Catalina says that it will work in 2 gigs of memory. And technically, it will work in 2 gigs of memory. But nothing else will work. Nope, Catalina, they upped it to 4 gigs, finally. 4 gig minimum. But we usually find that doubling the minimum is a much better way to run it. And as was pointed out earlier, a lot of the machines you can't upgrade the memory. It actually started in 2013 in the MacBook Pros. You can't upgrade the memory. The memory started out being soldered for a long time. And now we're seeing, as of the 2016 models, most of them also have the storage drive is soldered down and can't be replaced. So it's it becomes keep the old computer running the old OS, and for Apple's bottom line, buy a new computer. But it's very frustrating for us that like keeping our machines longer.
Yeah, there's a forum I was looking at today, a camera forum, and people there, they use Photoshop on one and everything. And he just automatically, he wanted to upgrade, so he was able to, so he upgraded to Catalina. And all of a sudden he found out he loaded up his Photoshop CS6 and it wouldn't let him boot. It wouldn't let him get, boot into Photoshop CS6. And he said, that's all he had. That's what he was using for all his photos. He had to call Apple, and they said, well, if you want to go back, you can go back, but boy, it's a long process. And he said it took him 2 days overall before he was able to get everything back the way it was before. So you really have to think twice before you update today.
And Apple is a little bit to blame because they offer the upgrades automatically. So if you have updates turned on, which most people do, it will also offer the upgrades automatically. You should upgrade to Mojave. You should upgrade to Catalina. And people do because it said so. Now, I did see on a couple of Catalina installs, before the install actually starts, it showed a list of incompatible programs. But you have to notice that and hit stop when it tells you that your Photoshop CS6 and your Office 2011 won't work.
Yeah. But a lot of people, Steve, they just click okay.
Okay.
Sure,
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
What do you mean you didn't upgrade to every new program every time it came out every year? So it's very annoying for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, it's just like encryption. A lot of people, they used to click OK, and next thing you know, it's all encrypted, and then they forget their password.
Yep.
Bingo. But I didn't know. Well, you clicked OK. Well, I didn't know what.
You didn't read it and just clicked OK.
That's it. Yeah.
So right now, there's still when you set up Catalina, even with Catalina, they're asking if you want to turn on encryption, and it's on by default. So if you just hit next, 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 it does.
Yeah.
Which for an SSD it should, because of the way SSDs work. If you try to encrypt it later, you can't be sure that it's encrypted, because SSDs randomize where the data is laid out, so it wears the drive out evenly. And so if you try to encrypt it later, you can't be assured that it's actually encrypted. But I can see a time when encryption is on by default, which encryption itself is good. If someone steals your computer, you don't want them to get your stuff. But the likelihood of you forgetting your password is much, much higher than someone stealing your computer. But I had this discussion with a customer the other day, that she's a doctor, and so HIPAA encourages encryption, but I don't think it requires it yet. And she said, should I encrypt my hard drive? Should I encrypt my backup drive? And our strong recommendation is don't encrypt both, because something's going to happen to at least one of them and you'll lose all the data. And so we say that when your drive is encrypted, all the data is written onto the drive as a blob of noise. And your password turns the noise into data. If you forget your password, it's just noise. If something gets corrupted on the drive, it's just noise. And even your password may not work. So then you have to go to your backup drive. Well, if your backup drive is also encrypted, that has the potential to be corrupted and lost too. So the likelihood of you losing your data is much higher with encryption.
And I think where that really comes into be a major point is for the older couples. And I consider myself part of an older couple. I'm in my 80s, for goodness sakes, and sometimes I forget to zip up. So yeah, you have to realize that people that get when they're older, and all of us. So what happens if I pass away and Arlene doesn't have my encrypted password? And let's assume on my hard drive, here's my will and testament is on there, that says where things are going to go, and she doesn't have the password, and Apple can't give it to her. Apple cannot give her the encrypted password. Now she's in a world of hurt because it goes into probate, for goodness sakes. And even when I worked for Apple, I was on the Apple side of people that had that problem, and there wasn't anything I could do with it other than pass it up to a tier 2 or beyond, and even they couldn't do anything. So you have to be careful with encryption.
Yeah.
I used to use KeyPass in your Chrome browser. And then I forgot the password. I changed the password in KeyPass, and then I forgot it. I can't get it back. So now I'm using Safari and the keychain. So and that's not the same thing, but it's similar.
We often hear from parents and grandparents that the grandchildren change the password on the phone or the tablet, and they can't get back in. Well, the only solution is erase it and start over and hope you had a backup. And so don't let your kid change the passcode is one of the things. So that becomes an issue too. But yeah, if you change your password and then forget what you changed it to, or type it wrong. So when you change your password, they always ask you to do it twice to make sure you know what you typed. I have typed it wrong the same way twice, and then can't get back in because I don't know how I typed it wrong.
That's funny, Steve.
Yeah.
It's happened to me, but that's funny.
Yeah.
Steve?
Yeah, Charlie, you had a question there. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I've got the right buttons pushed now. I do monitor the thing on YouTube because in case we lose the YouTube sound for anybody watching that, I want to be able to let you know, but I do have to remember to poke the right things before I go on to the Zoom feed. And of course, there's a time difference, so I'm in a slightly alternate universe. I did put a question on the YouTube chat. And right now I'm looking at George on my screen, so he's a good guy to have there because George, I think in an email I put out that there were things about malware bytes, and there had been essentially compatibility issues coming up with Catalina, and apparently they have solved those if you update to the current version of malware bytes. But the thing I had also asked was about the advisability of having malware bytes on my iPad, and I think you said you had maybe that and a few other antivirus quote type things on your iPad. Plus, my question too is that if I decided to do that, because I'm using a paid version of Malware Bytes on my MacBook, can I somehow bundle that with a paid version on the iPad and get a price break on it, or I simply have to get an additional subscription and pay the full price?
Yeah, it's a good point. I do use Malware Bytes on the iPad. I think there's two. I have both of them. I paid a little bit extra. I think it's pennies really for what it is, for what it protects you. I do. That's the only one that I really use, Malware Bytes, for a little bit of check my virus kind of thing. But I do have I think I have 7 blockers that I use. With the 7 blockers I use for Safari, I'll tell you, I'm pretty clean. I mean, I usually don't have any problem with my blockers. My email I don't get too many. I get very little junk email, very little spam. But yeah, I find Malware Bytes is pretty good.
And they do have bundles for multiple devices. So normally it's $333 a month for one device, or $667 a month for 5 devices.
For for Malware Bytes,
yeah,
it used to be about $40 a year for one device, not $30 something a month.
Let's see. I'm on personal. Well, 40 divided by 12 is $333.
Oh, $3.33, not 30 some odd.
No, yeah,
$3. Yeah,
So essentially, George, you have it on your iMac and your iPad, and they're separate subscriptions. Is that it?
Yes, that's correct, Charlie. Yeah.
But Steve is suggesting that it might be possible to go into my account or something and get some kind of a deal for multiple devices, meaning the MacBook and the iPad.
Yeah, instead of
when I put it on, I put it on at different times. So yeah, there's like a differential of maybe 5 or 6 months between the Mac and the iPad. So I just say renew. Renew.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, but it looks like you can upgrade your plan to go from a single device to multiple devices instead of multiple single devices.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you,
Steve.
Yeah.
I got a voicemail here from Carol Gack's her brother, who I was going to look at her the things that she left. Everybody knows our former president, Carol Gack, passed away, and they're going to have a service for her this Saturday on the 12th. I doubt that I'll be able. It's at Holy Sepulchre, I think. I can confirm that, but if anybody wants, they can get in touch with me and I'll confirm it. But just to let you guys know that they're going to have a service for her on Saturday.
That's nice.
She had left stuff for the club, some computer stuff. But when I went over, I was on the way over, and her brother told me, don't bother, because she was a hoarder, and the place was in disarray, and just finding what she had would have been a chore. So we may still have some stuff coming to the club that we could use. Probably not, but I'll keep in touch with her brother and, see what's what.
Yeah, her obituary is online now. They ran an old photo of her from her younger days. They spelled apple cider wrong in her obit. It's one word, all
How do you
lowercase.
spell apples?
Periods. Rick, weren't you the one that was the no period guy when we went through that period, no period acronym phase? Alrighty. So yeah, that's several CIDER members have passed. It's always a shame when that happens. All right. So coming up on 9:30. Any last questions? Any actually?
I have
yeah.
a dumb
Okay, Kim.
question.
Bob, while I'm thinking about it, are you going to try to do the green apples on Saturday?
Yeah, if anybody wants to, send me an email, then I'll send them an invite at the time.
All right. Thanks. Yeah, Kim, go ahead.
So I finally upgraded my cloud storage so I could back up my iPad. So now that I've done that, can I like send photos just to the cloud and get them off the iPad?
Not that way. So in your iPad settings, under iCloud, there is an optimize space button. Let me see if I can bring my iPad up here. And what that does is it offloads the high-res versions of your photos and leaves the high-res on just the cloud, so it saves space on the iPad itself with only the low-res photos. When you tap on a photo, it will download the high-res version to show you that high-res. So that's in settings under iCloud, under photos, and it's optimize iPad storage, optimize iPhone storage. And there's one on the Mac too called optimize Mac storage. So it doesn't delete them from the device. It keeps the thumbnail and offloads the high-res version to save space on your device. But if you do delete it from your device, it deletes it from the cloud as well.
Optimize iPad storage. Okay,
Yep.
It's checked, so that means it's on, right?
Yep. So it is already doing that as needed. It will offload the high-res versions. But there's always too much stuff you want to keep. I run into that with several of the games I have. Sometimes it offloads the game to save the data for another game, and no, don't do that, and have to re-download the game again.
So should it have freed up space when I backed it up?
No. It allows you to install more things in the same space, but it doesn't actually show you any more free space.
The other thing, the other thing you have to remember, Steve, if you're going to download one of those high-res photos from the cloud, you have to have internet service available too.
Yeah. So if you're somewhere where there's no internet, then it won't be able to download the high-res version, and you'll still see the low-res thumbnail.
Yeah.
There are.
How do I get space? Because it's my iPad's full.
You have to delete something you don't want anymore. If you go into settings and general and iPad storage, it will show you what all is taking up the most space, and give you recommendations on what you can delete if you want to.
Photos are taking up the most space.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
then that's common.
And then media. But how do I understand how before I had 5 gigabytes, so it wasn't backed up, and now that I got 50 and backed it up, why it didn't? Because it couldn't have uploaded them before, right? It couldn't have optimized the storage since I didn't have storage, and now that I do, why didn't it save me space? I guess that's what I'm asking.
It does. It just doesn't show you. So if it needs more space to download a new app, it will offload more photos.
Oh, but it's not, because it's not letting me add any new apps. It's not letting me open an old app.
You get an error that you can't take pictures because it's full.
I can, it'll let me take a couple pictures, but then it does something else. Just a couple, not a lot.
Yeah.
I've deleted a bunch.
Yeah. A good thing with Apple coming out with the new iPads, you might find some real good deals for iPads.
With
You
larger
know,
storage.
128 or 256, something like that. You might find some really good ones. And you don't have to go with the Pro or anything that's big. A lot of times they are, you know, the last year's model, you're going to find some good deals.
I thought I had seen something about lightning thumb drives.
Yeah, there are third-party programs where you can copy something to a thumb drive and then delete it from your iPad.
That's interesting.
One of the common problems on the iPads and iPhones is the other space. When you go into that storage section, there's always something called other, which basically is things that don't fit into any of the other categories. But a lot of times the other is log files that it creates. And if you back up, erase, and restore, it will delete the other for a while until it accumulates again. And one of the options you can turn off is collecting data to send to Apple. Where is that? That's under Analytics. So when you set up your iPad, there was a question to send the data to Apple. It's under Privacy, Analytics, and Share iPad Analytics. So if that has been on, it keeps log files. In fact, you can go in and see the log files. You can't do anything with them, but you can see that they're there. And quite oftentimes, that's the other space. And the only way to get rid of them is to back up, erase, and restore.
Where's that? Analytics?
In Settings under Privacy. Media collections off. Yeah, you can offload unused apps until it needs it again. Optimize iPad storage. What is the capacity of your iPad?
Oh, I just found it. Oh no, I have it off. Oh, I just turned it on.
Yeah.
Turn
Steve,
it back off.
Steve,
Yep.
aren't the analytics just text files? I didn't think that would I didn't think analytics would take up that much room. I thought they just text.
They
No?
are just text files, but thousands of them can add up.
Okay.
And so if you've never erased your iPad, then they could be there for a really long time.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's bright.
Even now, the minimum iPads of 32 gigs aren't enough. And so a lot of the iPads now have a minimum 64 gig, which is better. And for a few years, and then that will be not enough, and the minimums will go up.
I think for most people, 64 really doesn't do it. If you're taking any pictures at all, you know, I just tell people go with the 128 for a minimum, and a 128 should last you for a couple, maybe 3 years, you know, if you take pictures. But 64 doesn't really do it, I don't think, today.
Yeah. Yeah, my 32 gig iPad is always full. So I've split
32 gets full in minutes.
I've split my usage between my phone and my iPad, and so I use them for different things, so that they don't have to have an overlap of space. The only thing I overlap is photos, but I do have the optimized photos on.
Yeah.
So
I know I do a lot. I know I do a lot of graphics. Well, as you saw during the demo, have like 6 screens worth of graphics apps. Okay.
Yep.
But I play with all of them. I try to anyway. You know, I like doing reviews and things like that for user groups and let people know when something good's coming out. So I know that I use a lot of photos and I use a lot of well, not a lot of photos, maybe 3,000 photos, but a lot of graphic apps that I play with. So for me, 128 is probably the minimum.
There's also, I just found a bug in iOS 13 that prevents the other storage from being cleared, and that was fixed in 13.6.1. So upgrade to 13.6.1. If there's not enough space free on your iPad to do that with, you plug into a computer and update from there. If you don't have a computer with enough free space, then you back up, erase, and restore. And then update.
Yeah. I know I've been playing with the iOS 14 beta, and I think it's like 14.6 or something like that I'm running. And I'll tell you, it is solid. I haven't had one problem yet with iOS 14. It really is a solid piece of software. And Apple's been playing with that beta for a long time already. And I'm real happy with it. I think when that comes out, people are going to be surprised going from 13 to 14. It's without a problem, without any problems at all. A lot of good things. Anyway, that's my take on it anyway.
Yeah, a lot of the bloggers and commentators are saying, yeah, the beta 14 that's out now is pretty stable, but the next one may not be. So be really cautious about putting a beta on your main device. Make sure you keep having backups. You always want to have a backup so you can go down to an older version.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm stupid. I forgot. I thought this iPad was 32 gigabytes. It's not. It's 64. So buying the 50 gigabytes of storage isn't enough.
How big is your? Probably not. How big is your photo library?
How big is the? How do I know?
Settings, general, iPad storage. And if you get a lot of photos in your email, that adds up. If you get photos in messages, that adds up. In fact, a lot of times you get a photo in your message and then you put it in your photo library. Now that same photo is there twice because it doesn't delete it.
The backup only used 41 of 50.
So you only have 9 gigs free for the photo library to offload. So that's probably not enough.
The photo library. Does it tell you an actual? Yeah, 39.68.
So you need 40 gigs for your backup and 40 gigs for your photos. So 50 is not enough.
So I need more. Yeah. But isn't the next one, don't you have to jump up a lot?
Next step up is 200. 200 gigabytes, and that's $3 a month. Sometimes, but then the next step above that is 2 terabytes. It'd be nice if there was something in the middle.
Do you have to buy it on each device, or will you share? Can you share your?
You buy it on.
Or is it per?
It's per Apple ID.
Per Apple ID.
So if you use the same Apple ID on all your devices, each device gets it.
Yeah. I think one thing that a lot of people neglect to do, if they look at their mail, if you go into your mail and you can delete, let's say like all sent. You're going to click when you click on you're going to click on all sent. You're going to go up to edit, you select all, and you're just going to say trash it. That's all of your sent mail. You're going to have photos and things there because that's being stored. Once you get rid of that, and then you're going to go to trash, select all, and get rid of that. So you're going to get rid of a lot of junk there. You can go into your email, and some people have 300, 400, maybe 1,000 emails that's in your mail. And like Steve said, a lot of those are photos. You're going to click on edit, and you can probably get rid of 500, 600 emails, put it in the trash, and then empty the trash. and that's going to save you a lot of room. So it's something to consider. You know, that's part of that other thing. You know, so you might want to think about that too.
Yeah, a lot
Check your email.
a lot
and
of
see
people
what you
don't
can
think
get rid of.
about deleting their sent mail, their trash, their junk mail, just in case I need to go back in there again. But you almost never do.
You're right, Steve. Yeah.
I didn't know email took up space on the device.
Messages are generally very small. They're just text. But picture attachments take up space. And if you do a lot of pictures through email, they can take up a lot of space. The storage setting on your in settings should tell you how much space your email is taking as well.
Wait, just Apple email or any email?
Any email in any email
email.
program you have.
I was going to say videos can also sometimes be sent through email, and that takes up even more space.
Yes.
No, with
Videos-
Yahoo, you can't. Yahoo only lets you send that's like tiny, like 2 pictures. It doesn't let you send very much.
Yeah.
In attachments.
Well, in general, email is limited to about 5 megs, but many email services bypass that by going through a disk. Apple uses iCloud disk for that. So if you try to send a large message through the Apple Mail, it will put it on the disk and then send the other end a link to the disk.
Yeah, like sometimes my brother, he'll send me something. I click on it, and all of a sudden I find out it's like a 13 meg video, 17 meg, and it just came in the email, and email says, sure, why not? You got the room, take it. You know, high speed download. Today you get these video files, or you want to get 5 big raw images or whatever, and next thing you know, your email, you're inundated with all of this stuff, and you don't realize because you're not visualizing it.
Yeah, I've been working with a customer whose mailbox is full on their mail host. She's got 100 gigs of mail, and she wants more because she never wants to delete any sent messages. Or in her inbox.
Gigs.
Yeah, she has 200,000 messages in her inbox. And we're finding out that the hosted Exchange she's using, Exchange has a hard-coded limit of 100 gigs. And so it doesn't let you go beyond that. So we're looking at changing mail providers because she has to have all her old mail. You never know when you might need to look at it.
Yeah.
And she wants to see it on all her devices. I said, really? You got to put 100 gigs on your iPhone and your iPad too. She's a realtor, so there's a lot of photos, which is probably why. You remember that house you sold 3 years ago? Let's see the photos again for the before and after.
Yeah. So anyway, Kim, that's a very good thing that you brought up. Very good thing, because a very good topic. Thank you.
Yep.
Anytime I can share my idiocy.
Google.
Kim, we've all been there, babe.
My other one's 32. I forgot. I assumed this one was too. I just forgot it wasn't.
Yeah. The old ones that I had, my old 3216, the 32s, I just give them to the grandkids or the kids, and for them it's great for these kids. I mean, you can load up the apps like the alphabet apps, the counting apps, the basic things that the youngsters need. So you can always repurpose that iPad that you have.
It would be fine if I had a computer and put the pictures on the computer.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more people are using their iPad or iPhone as their only computing device now. So you don't have a computer with a big hard drive. And that's the other annoying thing on the new iMacs is their SSDs, and they start at 256 gigs. So we went from, especially on the 27-inch, went from a 2 terabyte drive standard to 256 gig SSD standard.
Yeah.
And bumping it back up adds significantly to the price. So now you don't have that big computer. So do you put a bigger internal drive, or do you add an external drive? And then as you said, you get confused by what drive has what on it and what goes where, and
Yeah.
it's more convenient to have one icon.
Yeah, and Kim, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do that demo tonight using photos as an application, just showing that people that you really don't need a Mac, you don't need an iMac, you don't need a Mac laptop, where an iPad can do a lot of this photo editing for you without spending the bucks for something big. A lot of people today, and I know some that's all they have is an iPad. They're using the iPad for everything. So you really can, if you're judiciously use, carefully choose the app. I mean, you can do a lot with an iPad. I mean, there's times when I don't turn my iMac on for maybe once every week, because most of the things that I do, I can do on my iPad, including my photos, editing. So you'll find that an iPad is fine. That's why I wanted to do tonight's demo using photos, because it's something that everybody has on an iPad. It can. You can do wonders with what you have. You just have to work your way around it, really.
Buy more storage.
I'm looking at my Photos app, and it tells me I have 5,790 pictures in it. And I look on the iCloud, and it tells me I got 3,700. So there's a difference of about 2,000. Are they all duplicates? What's going on here?
Do you have iCloud Library turned on your computer? Probably not, or it would have synced them. So in the Photos Preferences, where is it? Under iCloud, I think it is. Let me bring my copy up here. So there's two ways to sync photos to the cloud. One is Photo Stream, which only sends the newest photos to the cloud for 30 days, or 1,000 photos, whichever is longer. And that doesn't take up any cloud space. But that means they're not really synced. You only see the newest photos go through the photo stream. If you turn on Photo Library or iCloud Photos, depending on what version you're using, then all of your photos are sent to the cloud and will sync to the cloud. But that does take up cloud space that you usually end up paying for.
Will some of those photos not be on my computer anymore?
If you turn on Optimize Photos, it will only download the high-res versions when you click on it. The other option is always download all originals to the Mac, which, if you have enough disk space, is probably the better way to go.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want all of my photos on my computer.
Yep. And then so if you turn on Cloud Photos and download originals to Mac, they'll all go on your Mac. They'll all go to the cloud, and then they'll synchronize between the two.
You said download Cloud Photos. We're talking about two different apps.
Steve, are you able to share your screen so we can see what you're doing?
Yeah, let me try.
My screen's a jumble. I got a lot of stuff on the screen right now.
Let me see. Can I get the Photos app? Here it is. We'll send that one out. It says I'm sharing my screen, but I don't.
Yep, it's working.
I don't see what I'm sharing. Okay.
Well, we can see that you're pointing at download.
Let me get that out of the way. Yeah. So in Photos, you go to Preferences, and then go to iCloud. And if you turn on iCloud Photos, it puts all the photos on your computer on the cloud, and all of the photos on the cloud will be on the computer. And if you leave Download Originals turned on, it keeps the high-res versions on your computer. If you don't have enough space on your computer to keep all the high-res versions, then you can say Optimize Mac storage, and it only puts the low-res on your computer and keeps the high-res in the cloud. So if you
terabyte drives, they can stay there. I have plenty of storage.
So you probably want to leave Download Originals on. So then it will put all the photos on the cloud and all the cloud photos on the computer. And if you turn the same setting on your phone and your iPads, then you'll be able to have all the photos on all your devices. Anytime you make an edit, it gets synced to the cloud and propagated to all your other devices as well. And we're not getting this screen in the YouTube chat. Let me try this. We had to go to full screen mode for George. And so if you want all your photos will sync through iCloud Library. The one other danger that does is if you delete a photo from one place, it deletes it from every place. But you have that 30-day deleted library just in case. Yeah, yesterday was Star Trek Day. The anniversary, 46th anniversary of when Star Trek was released. So I dug up an old photo of the cast of Star Trek at the Shuttle Enterprise rollout. They're all there but Shatner. And you can tell it was the 70s by the wide lapels and the wide bell bottoms. And yeah, so the iCloud photo will let it synchronize between all your devices.
If you have more than one device on the same Apple ID and you use the same storage, will it put all your photos onto all your devices, or will it still keep them separate from where you took them?
It will sync all of your photos to all of your devices if you turn on Photo Library on all your devices.
So the ones you took on the iPhone will go to the iPad, so then will it fill up even more storage on the iPad?
Yes.
Good thing I have 2 Apple IDs.
So if you use the optimized storage, then it will offload the high-res versions. So it doesn't take up as much storage on the device.
See, that's why I try to keep all of my devices separate, and I don't even use the stupid iCloud. It has no advantages for me.
I like being able to take a photo with my phone and have it show up on the computer automatically, and on the iPad automatically. I don't use my computer all that much. I'm mostly iPad and occasionally phone, but I do still want to have all my photos go to the computer, so I have a record of them all there. How many do I have now? That's the other thing too, is you have too many to fit anywhere. So I have something like 60,000 photos that take up several hundred gigabytes, so I don't want to pay for the 2 terabyte storage plan. So I just use Photo Stream for my computer, but I use Photo Library on the iPad and the iPhone. So they sync to each other, and then the newest ones stream to the computer. The other option is to use Google Photos. Google Photos doesn't charge you for storage if your pictures are 15 megapixels or less, which almost everyone's are, because there aren't many phones that take higher pictures than that. But then it still takes up space on your device. You can just put more photos on the cloud without needing to pay for extra Google space. Yeah, my photo library is 250 gigs.
And where are yours?
All on my computer.
Oh.
I've only got a terabyte hard drive on the computer, and it's almost always full there too. Every device I have is almost always full.
Me too.
Yep.
I would never buy one this small, but I got my iPads from Dave & Buster's, and you only get the smallest one. Storage, the smallest storage.
Yeah, the lowest storage is their promotional models.
Ooh. What happened? Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Did I do that, or did you do that?
It's in speaker mode. Whoever speaks gets the
No,
video.
I just got pictures of everybody at once. Did I do that by hitting something?
Yeah,
or did you?
Yep, you did that by you switch from speaker mode to gallery mode. there's a little grid of icons that jumps into gallery mode, which shows all the little thumbnails. And then you get a button to take you back to speaker view, which shows you only the single speaker.
Oh.
But even in gallery mode, it only can show 9. So if you have more than 9, you have to scroll.
I can only see 4 at a time. Ooh.
It might depend on the size of your screen too.
Phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the phone screen is smaller, so it shows you fewer. Alrighty, so it's almost
Good,
10
yeah.
o'clock. Did we get through everybody's questions? So we got.
I have a dumb question.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
so I
a
guess
fun
it's time
question.
for you to pack everything up now, Steve.
Yeah.
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 You can help taking it to the car.
Yeah. Maybe I'll go make dinner. I had to go feed the cats earlier. They were all climbing on top of me and howling and screaming.
I do want to thank everybody for showing up for my little part of the demo tonight, and I really appreciate you being there. Thanks, kids.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
George.
Thank you,
It was
George.
great.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too. Good
So,
night.
so
Good night.
Charlie had a question about his Gmail. If you're using Gmail on the web, no data is stored on your iPad. If you're using the Gmail app on your iPad or the Apple app on your iPad, all of the data is stored on your iPad.
Okay.
So, yeah. All right. You had another question, Kim? We'll give you a last question.
Does anyone watch TV through the internet? Does anyone have like Fubo or AT&T now or
Green Light.
Sling or?
Yeah, what service are you using now, Bob? You keep jumping around to the different ones.
No, actually, we've stabilized pretty much. We got Green Light for our internet. Then we got Hulu and Netflix, Amazon Prime, and we recently acquired ABC All Access for certain sports. I haven't tallied it up, but it's getting up there again.
Yeah.
But it's still cheaper than the original with Spectrum and the old setup with the cable and so on. And I could cut some stuff out.
Yeah, we ended up getting CBS All Access so we can watch Star Trek, and then Disney Plus so we can watch. Well, so I can watch The Mandalorian, but Shirley watches all the other Disney shows. We're still using Spectrum TV for the DVR features because that's just so convenient. It remembers the shows for you, and so we can't switch away from it because the DVR is full of our shows. So we're gonna have to we're gonna have to go both services for a while until we can empty the DVR and switch to the DVR on Hulu or one of the other services. I've been looking at Hulu. Seems to be the best packages for the channels we want to watch at the best price.
Yeah, Hulu's our main thing. We go to Netflix for certain series, but
do you have the Hulu Live TV?
Yeah, the live TV we watch it through Hulu, and the DVR.
Is it good?
I got it on the DVR. I got 63 hours remaining, so that means they got close to 140 hours on there, stored on there that I can either watch or delete.
I had YouTube TV, and that's an unlimited DVR, so you can just record literally like everything. So I used to recording everything.
This could be unlimited. I'm not going up to 200 hours of DVR. You know, I could delete half of what's on there and not miss it.
YouTube is pretty good. Lately, we've been looking at some sci-fi things that YouTube has. They have a lot of it, and it's all free.
But YouTube,
no, I mean the YouTube
TV to get the traditional TV channels you pay for.
Yeah, I'm not even doing that. I'm just, browsing, and the stuff is coming up. And Dust seems to do a lot of sci-fi stuff. I don't know how they're making their money. It's fairly high quality.
Yeah, I do YouTube fairly often, but everything's squeezing everything out. Luckily, I'm locked at home, so I got nowhere to go. So
You've got all the time in the world to watch all the TV you want.
yeah.
Yeah, since Shirley's been
there
out of
anything
town, our
good in those?
DVR is getting full. So I keep asking her what she's already watched so I can delete it.
Yeah.
That's why YouTube TV is good, because you can record everything and it keeps it for 9 months.
So who's
But
watching
then
what right
you
now?
leave it.
I'm watching Absentia.
Don't know that one.
It's on Netflix. Well, actually, it's Amazon Prime. It's funny because if we go to Amazon Prime, it only shows season 1. But we go to Netflix and it shows season 2. But when we click on it, it jumps over to Amazon Prime. It's not listed among the Netflix offerings. I have to use the Apple TV. I click on it and say Absentia, and then we see it, but it's not where it normally would be. And so I think it makes a jump over to Amazon. Anyway, there's 3 seasons.
That's Danica Haddock from Castle.
Right. It's interesting. This woman's she was kidnapped for 6 years and then discovered. And what happened to her during that 6 years? She was held in a water tank most of the time where they almost drowned her and then let her go. It's funky. That was season 1. I'm now on season 2.
That a little bit like Prisoner was?
Could be. I vaguely remember Prisoner.
Yeah. I'm watching old school stuff on Amazon. I'm watching the Saint series and also what do you want to say? Mission Impossible series.
Oh, I tried to watch Mission Impossible again. And when I watched Mission Impossible, the first movie, I swore off. I said, I'm never going to watch this. Any of the Mission Impossible. They're all fucked because they took Mr. Phelps, who's a hero, and they turned him into a fucking traitor in the first movie.
Yep.
John Voight. All of a sudden, the hero of the entire TV history of Mission Impossible is now a traitor.
Well, actually, he wasn't in the first season.
He wasn't a hero?
No, Mr. Phelps was not the organizer in the first season.
But he was always a hero.
Yes.
In the TV season,
yep.
Episodes. And then they turned him into a traitor in the first Mission Impossible movie.
Yep.
I said, I can't watch this anymore. And I tried watching it just recently. It was just too stupid. I said,
not movies right now. So.
It's 10 o'clock.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess that's my cue.
Yeah. All right. Well,
good seeing everybody.
Past the 40 minutes.
See you, Rick.
Bye-bye.
Where does that time voice come from?
Somebody's computer.
There's an option in the date and time control panel to announce the time on the hours.
Okay, I put one question in the YouTube chat, and it boils down to this: I use Gmail. Is my email stored only by Google, or is it also stored on my devices?
We answered that. Where'd you go? No.
Well, no, I'm in this time warp thing.
Yeah. If you use the Google website, it's only on the Google website. Only at Google.
That's the answer then. That's the answer. I'd use that.
If you use the Gmail app or the Apple Mail app, then it's also stored on your device.
If I use the Apple Mail app on rare occasions, does that then automatically move all my stored Gmail onto the MacBook?
It copies it down, but it doesn't move it.
So I end up with that amount of Gmail stored on the MacBook also?
Yes.
Really? Okay. Yep. And how do I find that in the MacBook? By going into the Mail app and looking at it?
Yes. And
Okay.
if you want to see how much space it's used, it's hiding in your library folder.
Oh, the secret library folder.
Yeah.
The option
Option,
click.
yeah, click. Because it's dangerous to do things in there, so they hide it.
I know, I understand.
Yeah.
Now, but the thing is that if I go into the MacBook and I find that it's got all that Gmail stored in it, and I delete it from the MacBook, will that delete it from my Gmail account also?
Yes.
Boom.
Well, probably. By default, Gmail is set to sync using the IMAP mail protocols. If you happen to set the computer up as POP, then it's a download and not sync. But you have to go out of your way to do that.
Is POP okay?
POP is okay, but it doesn't sync between your devices. So you have to delete the same messages on the computer that you do on your iPad, and then you have to delete those same messages again on your iPhone. So most people like it to sync.
The only time I end up in the Apple Mail app is I may be on some website and there's an option to contact them by email, and it will automatically open the Apple Mail app. That's when I use it.
Yeah, there is a way. I was looking for that this afternoon for a customer, but didn't find it yet. There is a way to associate the Gmail web app with your default mail app, so that when you click on one of those web pages, it goes to a Gmail web page. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, shut up, Siri. I keep nicking the Siri button.
You select which email service you want, like Gmail or Yahoo or whatever, and it takes you then, I think, to the web email. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's a way to do it. I just haven't found. Okay, it's built into the Chrome browser settings.
Yeah, I have to. I'll be in touch. See you guys Wednesday.
Yep. See ya.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Saturday.
Cheerio, everyone.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right. Well, I guess that looks like, and then copy video onto it. It was handy because it had a hard drive in it.
But it won't do anything to the TV. It won't be an Apple TV.
Well, yeah, it will. It connects to your television to your computer so that you can watch video on your television.
The first generation still will?
Yes.
I hooked it up, but it's not doing anything. What do I have to do to make it work?
You have to sync it to your computer with iTunes.
Oh, the computer. I don't have a computer, just the iPad.
So that won't work that way. It has to be a computer.
Okay, that explains it.
Although theoretically, it will know any content you bought from the iTunes store and show you that as well.
It'll what?
It will show you any content that you've purchased from the iTunes store, which is how it was done back then.
Oh. I don't know. I didn't buy anything from the iTunes store.
Then it won't show you anything.
I never bought anything from iTunes. I just wanted to watch TV.
It never did that.
The Apple TV?
Right. It was
the new one does.
Not directly. You have to have an app that has TV content.
Right.
In it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
The apps.
Yeah, the original Apple TV was a sync to your iTunes library, so you could watch iTunes.
Play TV.
You could download TV shows from iTunes.
Okay, but not through the apps.
There were no apps.
Right. You didn't have Netflix and Hulu and
nope.
AT&T now and
there were no
YouTube.
apps. It
TV
was
and
Apple Music and Apple Video and Apple Photos.
so yeah, I can only play things from the iTunes library. And I don't have an iTunes library.
Yep.
How things change. Well, as long as I've got you here and no one else is, then you're packing up.
Yep.
So that guy who was selling the computers, the 17-inch MacBook Pro, would that still function today? Because that's from like 2011, I think.
It wouldn't run Catalina. I'm not sure how far up it would go. He was here earlier.
It would get.
Should have asked him then.
It would. Well, I don't know. I forgot who it was. I didn't know his name.
Pretty sure it was Ken.
Will it still get on the internet? Can I watch TV on it?
No, you can only go to websites. So if you have a web app that can show TV shows, then you could.
So in the browser, I could watch TV, but I couldn't download an app to watch TV.
I don't know of any apps for the Mac to let you watch TV.
Well, I mean, like if you have like YouTube TV or like.
That would be a web browser.
Like I had YouTube TV, now I have AT&T Now. Like AT&T Now isn't. You can watch in the browser on the iPad instead of the app. On the iPhone, I have an app. On the TV, you have an app.
On the computer, it's a web browser.
So I could watch it.
Maybe, depends on what OS it can run.
Okay, so it depends if the apps like ESPN app or Tennis Channel app would depend if you could get a newer enough operating system.
It wouldn't be an app; it would be a website.
Right, a website. Sorry, I haven't used a computer in so long. Okay, so they may or may not be compatible. Okay. But I could still use it for photos and things. And
yeah.
And my old software from that era, I could use with it.
Yeah, that should work.
Okay. All right. Do you think it's worth it?
I can't decide that for you.
To have something I could carry around and use, because I don't have a computer now. See, I know my iPad. I want something that I can that sit down by itself. I miss that.
You can do that with an iPad.
No. No. I want it to sit up like a laptop.
Yeah, I do that with mine. I do that with mine all the time.
I set it on my on this nice pillow that I got at the picnic years ago. I like it. Pillow. This pillow, can you see it? That pillow?
A little bit.
Anyway. All right. Well, how do I get a hold of that guy?
I'll have to try to find his number and have him call you.
Okay.
He'll probably email. I thought he emailed it out to all the CIDER members.
Oh, I don't know. I don't check my email. I have one of those people who has 5 million emails. I kind of stopped checking my email when I got stuck at home because I didn't want to know what I was missing. So I've been bad about checking my email. But if I know that I'm going to get one, then I'll search for that person's email and I'll look it up. But okay, yeah. So give him mine or give me his or whatever. What's best? You have my email or phone number?
I should in the member database.
You should have my email. I have a new phone number.
Did you get an email from me with the meeting notice?
I don't know. I didn't check
because
my
you don't
email.
check your email. Yeah.
No, Rick called me and said, "Hey, the meeting's going on." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So that's how I found out. I didn't know what day it was.
Should have
I don't know what day it is.
Should have
I don't even know
reminder
what
set on
month
your
it is.
YouTube.
Well, I'm watching the U.S. Open, so I've been like focused on that and not thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
And my week trial of AT&T TV ends tomorrow, and I don't. It breaks up a lot. It like every 10 minutes it goes out, so it's like not working that great on the Fire Stick, and it doesn't work on the Xbox. The Xbox was awesome with YouTube TV. It ran really great, and it ran on the iPad. The AT&T is not working great, and like, why should I keep this service if it's going to cut out every 10 minutes? So, yeah, I'm probably going to end it and try Fubo or Sling. I can only use those four for Tennis Channel, so I can't use Hulu Live TV. I'm limited.
Yeah.
Okay, just a second. I'm not kidding. Just a second. It's always a second. Okay. I'm going home. Yep. Just one. Okay. Give me. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Well, have a nice night. Yep. I'm going to shut down the stream,
thanks.
and we'll see you all next time.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
send him my email or